Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is WWE Catch-Up Commentary number 16. We'll be covering the last 2 weeks of Raw, SmackDown, and 205 Live. I gotta tell you, folks, of these shows, you guys know our relationship with 205 Live by now. It's super casual to, non-existent. SmackDown, I think, has really been stepping its game up. I don't think as many people were feeling this most recent episode this past Friday as they were the previous Friday. I still really liked it, save for one major thing, which I'm looking forward to talking about when we get to it. And, well, Raw is Raw, but it's in your face starting this Monday, so that makes it even more uncomfortable, actually, and really violating my personal space. So, Ashton, how do you feel about it, bud?
Violated, too?
Yeah! We can go to counseling together. 2-for-1 special. 50%
Oh my
off.
god! Yay!
Yeah, I know, right? I know.
I've always wanted a therapy buddy.
Dude, they're the fucking best. And, I already kind of broke this down for you, where I'm coming from, where my energy's at. I don't want this to be like this whole middling thing. I know what makes us angry. I know what we enjoy. Let's just cut through the crap, get to the stuff that we enjoy, because I like when we celebrate wrestling on this channel. That's why, really, I consider us a Japanese wrestling channel at heart, if you want the truth, guys, because that's just really what does it for us. But we cover everything because we're just good like that. So I guess with that said, because we just kind of go from 205 Live and then to Raw, and then I think SmackDown always comes last, let's just talk about 205 Live, man. What happened?
Yeah, well, I was even going to say WWE is almost intentionally following our TWitWoW format now, because we always start with Heat of the Night, and what's the first show that they show in any given week? The one that is full of Heats of the Night.
Yeah, fucking
Raw. Garbage-ass Raw, yeah. Tell you what, though, since you did mention 205, we might as well just kind of breeze through that, get through that, and then we can get to the longer shows. So, on 205 Live last week, so we're talking about on September 4th, excuse me, we had Drew Gulak, I believe, cut a promo, I want to say. Basically, yeah, that's what it was. So Gulak cut his promo, or actually it wasn't even a promo, it was an interview with Vic Joseph. Don't ask me what he said. I honestly couldn't tell you. But then we did get our first match, and it was Arya Daivari versus Tahuti Miles. So that was, it's starting to seem like Tahuti Miles is going to be a deal, whereas before he was like a nobody, like a local talent kind of thing, and now it's like they're maybe trying to make him into something, and I kind of dig it. Because from what I understand, the dude that we saw go against Velveteen Dream on Wednesday, that was Tahuti Miles with a gimmick change and a new name. New name is Ashante Adonis, or Ashante the Adonis. So, pretty excited about that. But Daivari did beat him last week. And then we also got Mansoor versus Kobe Carino. And then the main event was Everrise versus Lorcan and Birch.
Yeah, man, our relationship with 205, I've really got nothing to comment here as far as the show. I will say, though, I feel bad for certain acts. Mainly when you said Gulak, that's what made me think of this, because it's not their fault that they're on a show that I'm really kind of mad on, because when they're anywhere else, I'm vibing with them. Like when Gulak had his little run on SmackDown with Daniel Bryan and stuff, loved watching Gulak. Him on NXT, especially in that North American Championship picture, can you imagine how compelling a Gulak-Thatcher feud would be to us? I think we'd enjoy that, yeah, and you just confirmed you'd enjoy it too. So it really is a shame the guys that get kind of the raw end of the stick, so to speak, being on this show, but it's just not something, we can help. I just do not vibe with 205 Live, but, good for the guys that are doing stuff, so.
205 vibe.
There you go. Well, maybe one day, but not today.
I would tune into that, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see. The next one on this. Oh, and by the way, the main event last week, Everrise versus Lorcan and Birch, went to a no contest.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's something.
Yeah, well, because Legado del Fantasma came out, and you know that they've got their thing with Lorcan and Birch. So, yeah, went to a no contest because Lorcan and Birch left the ring to address LDF. God, I'm so used to LIJ, and now there's a new 3-letter, mostly Latino, actually, which is what Los Ingobernables was originally as well, faction, and it's like, I got to get used to the new acronym,
Yeah.
LDF, though, is who was, distracted, and so that caused a no contest. So, Chase Parker and Matt Martell of Everrise can now officially say that they have taken Lorcan and Birch to a no contest.
Well, there you go. God, this is such a waste of Lorcan, man. Like, if I could add any substantive commentary to this, because I know we just kind of breezed through 205, Lorcan, I feel like, is being wasted in this tag team. It was played out. When they didn't win the tag titles of that one takeover
Philly
against, it was TakeOver Philly, they really should have just dissolved and had a mini feud where Lorcan went over. This dude should be kind of a consistent fixture to me in the North America Championship picture. I'm not saying always getting title shots, but like just always kind of being in that mix.
He and Gulak are kind of in a similar territory right now. The difference is one of them has paper shoe or lead shoes and the other doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really frustrating, honestly.
All right. So then this week on 205, we had Ashante the Adonis. From, last week he was Tahuti Miles. Now he's Ashante the Adonis against Brian Kendrick, or the Brian Kendrick. So is this like a battle of who gets to keep the in their name?
If it is, I'm rooting for Kendrick. I mean, again, that's another guy, the Brian. I was even listening to his theme the other day. That's a veteran that like is just so good and understands things so well, but he's just on a show where I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make that effort. And I think that says a lot more about me than it does them, to be fair, but it sucks. It sucks because Kendrick's really good.
So then we got Everrise versus the Lockharts, Andrew and Eric Lockhart. Needless to say, Everrise won here, but then we got Lorcan and Birch versus Wild and Mendoza from LDF. And this was like, felt very culmination-y, but Joaquin Wild and Raul Mendoza ended up winning.
I would freaking hope so if Lorcan and Birch went to a no contest with freaking Everrise. Christ. Okay, so good shit.
Well, apparently Everrise came out and confronted Escobar.
Oh, God.
And, like, they stopped him from entering the ring. Like,
wow.
Enter the ring. And then Wild rolled Birch up with the tights and got the win that way.
Okay, so I didn't want to be an asshole this quickly into the recording because we're not even 10 minutes in, but look at Eric Escobar and then look in a mirror, you two. Santos Escobar, pardon. And then those two, look in a mirror, he doesn't fuck with Everfries, okay? I don't even know if that man knows what a fucking carb is, so, like, step aside. Fucking seriously. Nobody wants to see that. So, there you go.
Let's get into this past week's episode of Raw. It's from August 31st, so literally the day after Payback. And obviously we always try to start with the thing that we hate most. And really for me, it's just Dominic Mysterio in general, his existence, the fact that he's being pushed as like an upper mid-card main event talent. Not maybe main event, an upper mid-card babyface talent is what I meant to say there, is like, what the fuck?
Yeah. For me, I'm just kind of resigned to it, honestly. It is what it is. I'm just happy that, like, he hasn't gotten a big win over Seth, although apparently they're going to have a steel cage match this Monday, and I am thinking, like, Dominic might win that because he doesn't have to pin Rollins to do it or make him submit. So that's like a win that it like, oh my God, Dominic beat Seth Rollins without him actually beating Seth Rollins. You know what I mean?
Do you think Murphy costs Rollins that?
It could be, yeah, by accident, because it definitely seems like they're like kind of telegraphing tension between those guys. Really, to me, see, this is why. Now, I'm not saying, because I know your problem is with Dominic Mysterio regardless, and like just bulking him in any way isn't going to fix it when he really hasn't like paid his dues or gone through the process. But to me, this makes no sense, because this is why this is the benefit of having long-standing feuds, because if you would have had Andrade and Garza go over, it still would have been a waste of Andrade to be a Raw Tag Team Champion when this guy should be a main eventer. But at the very least, you know what you get out of that? You can do Garza Andrade versus Ray and Dominic. The father-son pairing, can they be the first ever pairing, father and son, to win tag team gold together? Now, we might have still hated it, again, for all the reasons I noted. I'm not saying it fixes the overall problem, but at least you still get Ray and Andrade interacting, and those guys are usually, like, 9 out of 10 times really good to watch. Like, really fun. And instead, Andrade and Garza, I don't know if Andrade's turning babyface or what the hell's happening there. I am so confused and so frustrated and so bored. And Dominic's already, like, engaging with and interacting with main event acts, like, right out of the gate. Like, it's so messed up. I feel like working with Andrade and Garza would have been a perfect starter feud for Dominic. He could have tagged with his dad, because if you want to make a singles act, I've said it in the past, and this is something I actually do agree with Booker T on, sometimes putting him in a tag team is the best fit. What better tag team partner than your fucking dad, who's done this forever? You get the rub, you get maybe some good programming, and you're not, like, the ambition of the writers isn't exceeding your talent at that point. So that's what I feel like they should have done. That's absolutely what I feel like they should have fucking done.
And that's my thing too, is that, like, the Raw tag titles are prestige-wise pretty middling at best. Like, they're not something that if Dominic and Ray would win, I would be like, good for Dominic, that's cool. I wouldn't be frustrated. I wouldn't be like, oh, fuck this is garbage, whatever. Because, like, fucking Nicholas held that title. You know? Like, it's not going to bother me to see Dominic be pushed as a champion if the title is a tag title with his father, with his easy, like, first ballot Hall of Fame, former multi-time world champion father. Like, that's not going to bother me. But the problem that I have is that you're pushing him as maybe even more than or better than an equal to Seth fucking Rollins, who is
exactly
bona fide main eventer, who has held the world title multiple times. And then, like, there's also, like, the other thing that chaps my ass, because I know you love it when I say that, is that you're also in the process burying the shit out of Buddy Murphy, who I was really hoping would get a mid-card title run at some point this year, which very clearly is not happening anytime soon, if ever, with the way things are going right now.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, man. That's why, like, I laid out my detailed case. I'm not going to, like, rehash. I just think you're absolutely right. I feel like if you would have started Dominic in a tag team, and again, that would have been the benefit of Andrade and Garza going over, which, by the way, speaking of the Raw Tag Titles, since because you just mentioned that, and I know that they're trying to do something now with Street Profits and Cesaro and Nakamura, I definitely am liking Cesaro and Nakamura. I'll have a little bit to say about them when we get to SmackDown. Street Profits are not a bad team. I don't know what it is about them, because they're not a bad team. I'm just not vibing with it. I don't know if it's the presentation, if it's the writing, because Montez Ford is a freak athlete, and I do think there's a personality there, but he needs to really tone it down to me personally. Dawkins, grown on me a little bit. He almost seems like kind of tranquilo in a way, and I wish there was a way we could kind of harness that and package it a bit differently. But yeah, like, I feel like they're kind of being wasted because you're doing this stupid shit. Zelina, who was one of the best managers that WWE has had, and I'm not saying she's forfeited the title, but I feel like you're even wasting her by doing all this shit.
Remember when we thought we were going to get a real program between Zelina and Bianca, and then it ended up just being like a one-match thing that Bianca won, and that was it? We never saw either one of them.
Yeah. Like, I feel like this whole scene with these tag teams and these women, like, everybody's just being wasted to me. And then again, that kind of supervenes on the issue we're talking about, because a guy like Dominic, who needs that in-ring experience, like, if he's going to commit to being a wrestler, obviously NXT would have been nice. That is their fucking developmental system. But if you're not going to develop that way, stay close to your dad, you know, and actually maybe elevate the division a little bit by interacting with Andrade and Garza. But now that team's broken up again, circling back to that. No idea who the babyface is there. I'm hoping Andrade, because he was the one that got fucking abandoned. And maybe a babyface Andrade could actually really work. I'm not going to write that off. But you know what I miss, since we're kind of touching on all this stuff, is when Andrade and Zelina were taken seriously. Can you take them seriously right now? Because I think they're a goddamn joke right now. And so, like, I feel like the whole mid-card that Dominic should be a part of is a mess. And no wonder he's got to flirt with, like, the main eventers already, because that's a scene that at least someone has their shit together. It's the whole Raw is just a mess completely, dude.
Yeah, dude, I would say that on Monday Night Raw right now, you know what? Let me pull up the roster real quick. Because I'm trying to just think of something, and I want to pull the roster up to get a really good idea. Okay, so on Monday Night Raw, unless you are Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton, or Drew McIntyre, you don't feel important at all.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Right, right now, to me at least, Lashley, Orton, and McIntyre are the only three dudes that feel anything close to like main eventers. Everybody else is like, I want to try and like paint a picture here. So if Drew is at like power level 10 out of 10, and then like Lashley and Orton are at power level 9 out of 10, I feel like nobody else is above like a 6.
I think that's totally fair. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
problem that I have right there. Because like we should have guys like Alistair and Andrade and I mean hell, we were just talking about Seth. And I think, you know what, Keith Lee might be at like an 8 right now since I kind of forgot about him, but Keith Lee feels like he's at like an 8, maybe even at a 9 on that power level scale. So that's nice to see. But there just feels like such a clear divide between the main event and the mid card. It doesn't feel like an upper mid card exists right now. I feel like you should have guys like Aleister Black and Andrade and Seth and Kevin Owens and Joe. I mean, and Joe's not really actively wrestling right now, but if he was, I would want him in this category as well. And Ricochet and Ali, I would put in this group as well. I think that you should kind of build an upper mid card out of that group that could kind of challenge for the world title, that can work with guys that are below them to kind of elevate them. But I feel like everybody is just in this mush of like, okay, you're pretty good, but you're not good enough. You know what I mean? Like the way that they've been portrayed, they all just feel like just guys, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely
I think
agree.
that's like the biggest problem on Raw right now is that there isn't a true upper mid card. It feels like everyone is either main event or middle mid card. And like when you've got former world champions on your roster that, you know, especially in the case of like Seth Rollins, this dude beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania and SummerSlam in the same year. And now literally the year after, he can't beat a fucking 23-year-old son of a past his prime wrestler. Like, I'm sorry, but this entire story is the worst thing going for WWE, for me personally, in the WWE right now. It is. I have such a strong disconnect to it because it feels so jarring to go from Seth Rollins beating Brock Lesnar twice and then Seth Rollins beating The Fiend at Hell in a Cell last year. That was less than a year ago at this point, and we were all pissed about it, but it still happened.
Yeah.
So now he can't even beat fucking Dominic Mysterio. It's really, really bad and really stupid in my opinion. But at the same time, you've also got like the Aleister Black, Kevin Owens stuff that's been going on. And that feels like they've been both of them now, especially after this Monday. And can we talk about this? Raw Underground, these guys are fighting all night, and then one of them bumps into Babatunde, or what do they call him now? Dabba-Kato, and he squashes both of them. Like, you literally, do they even realize that they just buried the fuck out of both of those guys? They have no credibility right now.
Dude, can I like get in on this since we're kind of just talking about like everybody, you know, the whole mid card situation?
Yeah.
I have said to you, Aleister Black really pisses me off, dude. Because like, you know how high I was on that talent, and I've said to you a few times now, and I think I've even said on here, but I'll reiterate. WWE has this magnificent ability to make larger than life like personas feel like ordinary people. Aleister Black had a mystique about him and everything that I try and use this phrase sparingly. Maybe I'm not as good about it as I'd like to be, but I did say in his NXT days, that dude is a license to print money. Like, it's just a guy you run with and you fucking go. And when he got his eye taken out, and when Seth and the discipleship were like taking him out and humanizing him, it's like, wow. You know, like now he feels like everybody else. Yeah. Now he feels, and Kevin Owens, God, dude, it's so funny. You mentioned Kevin Owens because I saw his promo on Raw Talk, or at least a snippet of it, where he calls out Dabba-Kato and says like, you know, don't get in my way. You know, I've tried to do things the right way because I have a lot of regrets. And you know, it was a genuinely great promo. But you know, all I could think was, I want so much more for babyface Kevin Owens. Like, I don't know if it was because of the pandemic. I think he might have dealt with an injury at some point. But I thought this dude was going to be in the world title picture at some point this year. And the idea that hasn't happened just blows my goddamn mind, because I'm like, and you know what's funny? Because I know some people, like, I think about, like, the fucking Cornettes, whose opinions are worth less than the shit that comes out of my ass. But, you know, they always, like, take those guys as for, like, the indie style. Like, Kevin Owens, to me, doesn't even reek of, like, that indie kind of mindset. And he's a genuinely great promo, and he has a unique, like, kind of blue-collar look, and the fact that, you know, he is a bit, like, a bigger, not necessarily like, fat or anything, but he's not, like, a fucking Mr. Olympia, right? And very personable and stuff like that. You'd think, wow, be a great main event guy. And now he's doing this stuff with Aleister, which Aleister I don't even think has cut a promo yet. I have no idea, like, why he's attacking Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens just feels like he's there. And I know nobody, like, even I don't want him to turn heel. Please understand that. Like, I know a babyface Kevin Owens that's really pushed and really prioritized is fucking money. But I'm almost at the point where I'm like, I want him to turn heel simply because I feel like they did a better job prioritizing heel Kevin Owens. But that's already been done. You know? Like,
that was my concern. When I saw that promo, I was like, tell me he's not going to turn fucking heel. God damn it.
And it's just like, man, why can't they just really give babyface Owens a chance? Like, I still, dude, I haven't done it in a while, but there was a period like a few months ago where I went back like on the regular, maybe like once a day. I watched not only his return on that one SmackDown, but the tag match he had with Kofi where he hit the stunner with Bryan, and the crowd seemed into it. Like, it was different. And like, babyface Kevin Owens had this different energy. And again, it's like you give enough time of him slogging around doing pointless shit, and he's just going to feel like everybody else. Kevin Owens and Aleister Black, who should have been owning 2020 and maybe even part of 2021, or even flip that, like building up in 2020 and then owning 2021, are nowhere near to doing either, because they're just there, and it frustrates the fuck out of me. Like, it really does. Like, I didn't even really think I was going to complain that much, because I'm like, yeah, we know Raw sucks, but you saying everything.
Dude, that's the thing though. Like, us knowing that Raw sucks doesn't prevent us from being able to dissect what we hate about it.
Exactly, because like as soon as you started saying like the issue about, you know, power levels and like the mid card situation, now the mid card is just like this really thick soup with everybody swimming in it except for the people that you mentioned, and I'm like, why are Aleister and Owens in that soup? You know, I'm like, they should be main event tier, and they just.
I would love to see Aleister be an opponent for Drew if they insist on keeping him heel, and I would love to see Owens Lashley. That would be dope as hell.
Dude, it would be like. At this point, I know Owens and the United States title haven't exactly had the best history, but I'll fucking take it over this shit. Like, God, and Aleister versus Drew, please get that dude some main event quality talent to work with. Fuck me.
And you know what? I also do want to add, I have gotten to the point now, and I never thought I'd see the day that I'd say this, because I used to fucking love these guys to the point that I'm pretty sure they made a few fives of mine. I've gotten to the point now that when the Viking Raiders enter the arena, I roll my eyes.
Dude, yes! Oh my God! Like, that's another personal one for me that I'm glad you brought them up, because I know I haven't talked about them, and you're right. I think they have made lists of yours and maybe mine, but I can't commit to that as strongly. But, like, I do enjoy them very much. You've made them a fucking cartoon act. This is the fucking this is the War Raiders to me, is how I remember. That's how they came up. That's how they really made their tag team legacy in ROH and New Japan. We watched them, dude. That's why it's personal, because we have a history with these guys. And then WWE gets them, who, in my opinion, like when you talk about like that golden age of tag teams, right? ENC, the Hardys, and the Dudleys. You know, then there was a generation, you could argue, like Beer Money and Motor City Machine Guns and others, if you were big on TNA and other stuff. These guys were like the heir apparent of that whole tradition of like really great tag teams. And WWE killed it, because they don't feel like that anymore. Why aren't these guys murdering the division? Why did these guys do hokey segments with like fucking Street Profits? I know they haven't done that in a minute, but now they've got, where is it? Like Ivar's the ladies, man? Come the fuck on, man. I'm sorry.
Vince just insists on giving everyone a personality, and it's like he doesn't really seem to understand that ass kicker could be a personality. Like, that's what got fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin over. But Vince is like, no. He got over because he was a redneck. Ha 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 ha.
They're so fucking good and can turn your division around if you made them the foundation and like as they're supposed to be. But I'm seeing Ivar like in these segments, acting like he's auditioning for a spot on The fucking Bachelor, and it just, I want to claw my fucking eyes out.
Speaking of The Bachelor, fucking Demi Barnett being on all these shows is confusing as hell to me too. First of all, where did she come from? Second of all, why is she on so many shows to the point that you're working her into storylines? And third of all, why is she being used as a way to drive a wedge between two people that never liked each other in the first place, in Angel Garza and Ivar?
Yeah, dude, I hate it. I hate it. Because you know what else I hate too? And I noticed, like, I just did this with the Kevin Owens thing. Like
Burnett. It's Demi Burnett. I'm sorry, I said her name wrong.
Okay, Demi Burnett. Okay, if I'm going to bring her up, that's good for me to know. But I just brought this up with Kevin Owens. Like, a face and or heel turn isn't like a solution, a mechanism for poor writing. Like, because I'd like to think, if you just turn him heel, which War Raiders shouldn't even be heel anyway, and I can't, because when I think Viking, it's not even the name anymore, it's just how they're written. And, like, I remember War Raiders, I remember us falling in love hard with that tag team. Turning them heel isn't going to fix the problem. Just, like, fucking, it's right there. It's right there. It's not so hard. And yet you're trying so hard. We need to give these guys more personality. Bitch, look at how they work. Look at them. They're killers. That's the personality.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that. I think I actually talked about this when they came out the first time as the Viking Raiders instead of just the War Raiders. They went from feeling like a couple of dudes that got transplanted through time from Viking times to current day, and they didn't give a shit about all this technology that they're seeing around. All they want to do is keep being Vikings and kicking people's asses, to now they just feel like these, like, oversized dudes that cosplay Vikings.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Look, I've never been, like, Renaissance Fair or any of that type of guy, but these guys made Vikings cool to me. Yeah. And WWE is like, no, it's for dorks, so we gotta make you guys dorks. Like, that's what it says to me. God,
that's such Vince energy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like...
just like, what the hell do these guys think they are, Renaissance Fair? That's
exactly.
Be for me, goddammit. You sons of bitches aren't cool. You sons of bitches are for Ren Fair nerds. Get out there and play with turkey legs, goddammit.
And it's like,
we've got to appeal to the nerd demographic. What do nerds love? Marvel. Who's the popular at Marvel? Thor. You son of a bitch, you're turkey leg Thor now.
I just need to say one more thing about fucking War Raiders, since, like, you brought this up, because I remember everybody used to complain about when, like, Finn Balor was, like, smiling Finn. And, you know, I forgave it because, I mean, look at that man.
I never had a problem with smiling Finn, oddly.
I never, me either, but I bring that up for one simple point. I do have a problem with smiling and jokey War Raiders. Like, that is what I have a problem with. Finn,
maybe that's why I never had a problem with smiling Finn, though, because I never really saw Finn as, like, this, you know, brooding, silent ass like I feel like the Viking Raiders should be.
Exactly, Ashton. Like, look, I'm just going to be real with everybody. Finn, great wrestler. He even made my Fave 5 this past cycle, which you guys can go and watch that on the channel, because Fave 5 are my favorite commentaries that we do. Meanwhile, this is just like, God. So, you know.
This feels like a State of the Union address where we're not even in charge of running the country that we're doing the State of the Union for, and we're just screaming the whole time.
Yeah. Like, Finn, you could put on the cover of fucking GQ or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I understand why, like, the dude literally had a run on his Twitter for a little bit where he teased putting baby oil on himself. Of course he's gonna fucking smile. It's not that deep. War Raiders, that's a problem. Because they are not anywhere near Finn's aesthetic or Finn's energy in that way. I don't want to hear them smile. I don't want to hear them joke. I don't want the punchline to be, oh, I've got a turkey leg. I hate it. I honestly hate it. It's like they took a tag team that I genuinely loved, and I've already talked about too. The problems with tag team wrestling in the current day, like WWE just doesn't give a shit about it. I know you've touched on that too. How teams like FTR, like even if you don't like them in AEW,
you know what also pisses me off though is that we've always been under the impression that it's not that Vince doesn't care about tag teams, it's that Vince has always seen tag teams as a way to get singles guys over. He could do that with the Viking Raiders. Both of these guys are great workers. At least Rowe is a great talker. There's no reason why you couldn't push these guys as single stars. You could very happily, very easily break them up and push them as single stars. They would put on fucking incredible matches against each other if it was a hostile breakup. They could have great matches with just about anyone. If you want a couple of guys to put at that like 6.5, 7 out of 10 power ranking level that we're kind of talking about, and just have them put on great matches with the Ricochets and the Cedric Alexanders and the Mustafa Alis and the Kevin Owens and the Aleister Blacks and the Andrades and the Montez Fords and the Dawkins of the world. Like, you name anybody on the Raw roster right now that is in that mush of just guys that isn't Dominic Mysterio, and either or of the Viking Raiders could put on an excellent singles match with anyone.
Yeah. So what should we talk about next? Since we've kind of talked about the hodgepodge of the minute, like what do we even pick from the pile here?
Yeah, we already kind of talked about the whole Seth, Ray, Dominic. Do we want to talk about the Murphy situation now, since he's kind of connected to that and we didn't really talk much about him?
I mean, dude, honestly, like, I don't want to completely write this off, but unless Murphy beats Seth in like a singles match and kind of like regains his pride and stuff like that, I feel like it's wasted. I don't know, because he got totally bitched out by the Mysterio family. What was it? This past Monday,
yeah, he got kendo stick to hell.
Yeah, and like, I get it. But see, this has been the problem with the whole feud, you know, besides it existing beyond the one segment where Seth looked like he was just like his life was over and he took Ray out. Because it's going on way too long. What are we going on, like, close to 6 months now at this point, I feel like, that this feud's been fucking going.
4?
That's still a long time. At least it feels like a long time to me, like, with everything they've been doing. But fucking, you know, I get that the Mysterio family needs something, because I hated how one-sided the feud seemed to be a lot of the time, and Ray should have gotten to come up. It's like, really, to me, I would have just had Ray win the eye for an eye match and then ended the feud. You would have had Seth with an eye patch, still being a messiah, and he would have said, you know, I had to lose something just so that I knew, like, I was connected to the greater good, or some bullshit like that. And you should have ended the feud at the horror show at Extreme Rules. That, like, it shouldn't have even continued beyond that. But now that it has, like, of course you need to give Ray something, because he lost that match. Dominic lost at SummerSlam. Like, you have to get wins. But you had to get the whole fucking family in on it. You had to get, like, the fucking daughter in on it, and Angie the wife, and all that. Like, God, it's so grown with it, because at least, you know what could have redeemed the feud a little bit to me? Rather than focusing so much on the family, why couldn't you have had, and I know this is a weird word to use, I really just can't think of any other, you could have used, like, fucking surrogates for what, like, Dominic and others was supposed to be. That's what, fucking, who's the guy you really like, Ashton the Chung? Oh, Humberto Carrillo. That's right, Humberto Carrillo. Yep. Yeah, Humberto Carrillo. He should have gotten a bigger push out of this. I feel like he started the feud a little bit. I mean, unless he got injured and I just forgot about it. But, like, I haven't seen him in a while trying to defend Ray. Could have been a great push for him, at least. If this is going to go on obnoxiously long, I would at least like to see some guys that you're not used to in an angle like this, in an angle like this. Aleister Black got bitched out. I never would have done that to him. Kevin Owens was, like, on the periphery of it, I guess. He got involved sometimes, but not really. So I guess that's whatever. I don't know. I just would have tried to make some people out of this. Nobody's gotten made out of this angle, except maybe Dominic. And we've already kind of aired our problems with that. So, yeah. And just to circle back to Murphy, how is Murphy getting made from this angle? Like, I don't...
I'll tell you how he's getting made. He's getting made into a fucking geek is what he's getting made into.
Yeah. I want to remind everybody that this was the same guy that beat Daniel Bryan on an episode of SmackDown, and like before
took Roman Reigns to the limit.
Yeah, took Roman fucking Reigns to the limit, who's having like the fucking arc of his life right now. Of his career.
I was gonna say a career renaissance.
Yeah, exactly. And Murphy took that guy to the limit and had a great showing with. Like, it's, dude, you want to know the painful fucking irony and how this all connects to our catch-up commentary? We did 205 Live first, and I already talked about our relationship with that show. It's super casual to non-existent, and yet I feel like Murphy was booked better on 205 Live than he is now on Monday Night Raw. What, like, I would actually want to go back to when he was Cruiserweight Champion, rather than when he was than him being a disciple right now, which I was originally really psyched for. Like, when that first happened and he agreed to help him after losing to Aleister Black for a third time, I'm like, oh shit, dude. And I think you and I even agreed, because we were talking about it over Rocket League that night. I'm like, dude, this is great, because Seth is like the biggest heel right now, and Murphy's running with the biggest heel, and like associating with that, you know, that could really make Murphy.
Dude.
Hasn't made shit.
Everybody that's ever associated with Seth Rollins is either being corrupted or just having their lives ruined.
Yeah. Yeah, Austin Theory's back in NXT.
AOP got released.
AOP got released. Fuck.
Moxley left the company. You know, I don't want to say unceremoniously because he got like a final show, but they paid him like the bare minimum that they can pay someone to work a show for it.
Yeah.
Roman turned heel, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
Everybody that's ever been associated with Seth Rollins is worse off now than they were when they were with him.
Becky got pregnant and had to end her run early.
Yeah, yeah. God, that's not even true. Like, we say it because it's kind of funny. Like, oh, you know, career interrupting pregnancy. But, like, yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Oh, okay, because you said not even true, but I'm guessing you meant to say you're like, I'm not even wrong saying that. So
no, yeah. That's not even, like, you're not even exaggerating. It's more what I'm saying.
Yeah, like, Seth, I hate to tell you this, bud. Actually, I really don't. You're the problem. Like, you're the fucking problem. And the thing is, if they do that dissolution between Murphy and Seth, I have no reason to believe that Murphy is going to beat Seth and go over.
I mean, the only real hope that I have, if Seth Rollins can't even beat Dominic Mysterio, there's no reason he can't also struggle with Murphy, you know?
That is true. That is true. Oh, yeah, Javar said Sting had to retire. That's right. Yeah. Fucking hell. Cena got his nose broken. Fucking. Oh, man. I don't like to put the Finn one on Seth because I know we're just kind of joking around, but in all seriousness, like, you know the limit of a great.
See, you guys are taking a little further than I was. I was more saying anyone that was like associated with Seth, like an associate of Seth, not an opponent.
Right.
I'm not talking anybody that's ever rubbed shoulders with Seth Rollins, like anyone that's ever been like with him on TV.
But now I guess I know what Seth's kind of limit is, you know, kind of bringing the conversation back and kind of grounding it again.
Yeah.
Because the dude can have great matches. I can enjoy Seth in the ring. I can enjoy him on the mic. But I think the mark of a really great performer is being able to elevate other people. And Seth, I don't think has elevated Murphy at all. I don't think anybody that's like run with the bat. Austin Theory certainly didn't get it. Maybe that's more on him. I'm not going to put that entirely on Seth. But Murphy, like...
Yeah, because I'm just thinking back to like that moment when Seth like recruited both of them. And it was like, come on, help me out. While they were at their lowest point. And then they go to help him. And now, you know, all these months later. And it's like, wow. He kind of used him up and spit him out, didn't he?
Exactly. Just... God damn it. Murphy deserves so much better than this. It's a joke.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, let's see what we can talk about next. Do we even want to talk about Raw Underground, or do you feel like just covering the Owens Black stuff with Dabba-Kato is enough?
I feel like that. Well, I mean, because we also didn't we get Titus on this one, and then, or was this when Hurt Business laid out Cedric, Ali, and freaking Apollo? Which Raw Underground was that? The Dabba-Kato? Was that this most recent one or the one before
The Dabba-Kato one was definitely the most recent one. I'm trying to remember what the other one is that you're talking about, though.
I feel like that was the week prior. I think.
God.
I'm sorry to cause this pause. I just want to, kind of figure out because...
I'm trying to find what happened on last week's Raw Underground because that's like I pay attention to Raw somewhat for the most part, but as soon as that Raw Underground shit comes on, I tune out. I almost intentionally avoid that, so I really have to kind of look through the notes here.
Okay.
Let's see. Raw Underground. That's right. Last week was when Peyton threw Billy to the Wolves.
Right.
That was Jessamine Duke, if I remember correctly, that beat her up.
Yeah, I think I was right because past 2 weeks, that would be Raw on August 31st and then September 7th, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, August 31st was Shelton Benjamin versus Apollo in Raw Underground. So I do just want to touch on that very quickly. I'm going to assume that I'm alone in saying this. I think Hurt Business is the best part of Raw, honestly. I'm really,
I would
really
say
enjoying these guys.
Drew McIntyre is the best, and then, like, Asuka is up there, too. But if we're just talking Raw Underground, I would agree with Her Business, and like I would also say Her Business, just like in general, is like top 3 probably.
So they would come in third for you because you said Drew, Asuka, and yeah, so they literally probably slide in third for you.
Probably.
That's fair. That's fair. I think I'm kind of discounting Asuka because I really don't like that she's working with like the really undercard women right now. And Drew, I'm really just not feeling the Orton feud, but that's not Drew's fault because I will say this: Drew kicked ass on the most recent Raw.
Yes.
He was amazing. But I really just wanted to give Her Business their due, dude, because this is like an undercard act that is just, it's cool. And, like, it's legit. And I'm glad that, like, Lashley's got a title out of it. Because Lashley, I think, has been putting out the best work of his career recently. MVP is being used the right way, being the talker and the manager.
Yep.
At times, I will say my only nitpick, and this is less about Hurt Business. I was about to say Hurt Underground. Because I have Raw Underground, Hurt Business in a separate tab.
Yeah, Underground hurts me too, friend.
This is less about the Hurt Business and more about just, like, the writing of the Hurt Business. Like, the stories with, like, oh, is Cedric going to join them? What's going on with Apollo? Sometimes they can go a little too long for me. But again, that has nothing to do with the Hurt Business as an entity. Them as an entity, though, I'm vibing with it, man. I love the shirts. I love the look. I love what they're about. I think they're fucking great. And I don't want them to grow too much because I don't want it to become like an NWO type situation. But I do want them to have enough membership where they could really have a presence, like be kind of the mid-card in a way, having the U.S. title, tag titles, and maybe even have somebody that kind of flirts in the main event, because I know Drew's like a top guy right now. So I just wanted to give my love to the Hurt Business, because I'm really loving that. That's actually some of the best content I think Raw puts out, honestly. Do you have anything you wanted to add to that, or do you want to move on to the next thing?
No, I love Hurt Business, yeah. Like the MVP, honestly... Now that we're talking about the Hurt Business, do we want to talk about Cedric Alexander joining them?
Yeah, we could do that. How do you feel about it? I'm actually really curious what you feel about Cedric's turn now that they finally pulled the trigger.
Yeah, you're like, God, it's weird because when it first happened, I actually missed it. I had to go back and rewatch it, or not rewatch it, but watch it in the YouTube clip, I want to say. It might have even been on Watch Wrestling or something like that. But the way that I believe he turned on Ricochet, didn't he? It was who he like attacked to cost the match.
I believe so, yes.
It was either Ricochet or Apollo, I don't remember. But the way that he like really just viciously and ruthlessly attacked him and hit him with the fucking lumbar check, and then just let, I want to say either Lashley or Benjamin, I don't remember, get the winning pin. And like, I love the way that they like played it off like MVP and them didn't expect it and they were surprised by it and they were still kind of skeptical of it afterwards. Like, you're not gonna just like, you're not joining us just to fuck with us, right? That kind of thing. I love the way that it was handled. It honestly, like, I don't know if you even were able to go back and watch this when it happened, but it really reminded me of when Jamie Hayter initially joined Oedo Tai. Because when she initially joined Oedo Tai, she did the exact same thing. She walloped her own teammate and then basically put her in position for Kagetsu to hit the Oedo coaster, and then played defense for Oedo Tai by holding back her other teammate from breaking up the pin. And then afterwards she said, I want to join Oedo Tai because y'all are the hottest shit cooking right now, basically. And then Kagetsu was just like, welcome to Oedo Tai! So yeah, that's kind of what it reminded me of, though. I love it. I love the way that they pulled that off.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought it was great shit. I think it's something that Cedric really needed. I kind of felt bad for the dude. I mean, because this dude, he's had ebbs and flows with this company.
Isn't Cedric the one that we've been saying would turn for a while now?
I believe he is, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like we always hear Deluxe Man, or I'm sorry, I can't use that name anymore. It's not his name anymore. Just Alex is just constantly insisting that it's Apollo that needs to turn. And I'm just like, no, dude, he's been on the straight path for this entire time. He's unwavering. He's not going to turn. We've been saying, though, over here, it's going to be Cedric. And boy, did that pay off this week, because his turn was great. He looked great in the turn, and I am very excited for him in Hurt Business for sure. Like, I wonder if, like, since Bobby has his own title, I wonder if Cedric and Shelton now are going to go for the tag titles.
I would enjoy that. They've seemed to have primarily found a role for Benjamin as a tag team guy at this stage of his career. And Cedric needs to, like, begin again somewhere, because I was even getting ready to say, like,
did Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin ever win the tag titles?
No, they did not.
I didn't think so.
No, they did not. Yeah. But, you know, Cedric's had his ebbs and flows with this company between, you know, Please Sign Cedric originally at the Cruiserweight Classic, which I think was one of the best moments of that tournament, his match with Ibushi, and then the fallout. Then feuding with AJ and pinning him in Madison Square Garden and having a beer with Stone Cold. Yeah. And now, you know, he's just kind of flatlined. Cedric does have a lot to give. I do think there's a personality there. He's solid in the ring. I think the Hurt Business can bring it out. I'm hoping that this is like the best thing to happen to him. I'm hoping that something happens here with Cedric. I am totally open to this. And yeah, again, I've been loving the Hurt Business. So them growing their numbers. And again, I want them to be advancing forward. You know, after Lashley won the U.S. title, they even said like in a Payback exclusive, MVP said this is only phase 1. Now we're getting ready for phase 2. Yeah. I want these guys, in a weird way, I want them to be a Suzuki-gun without like the total factor, because Suzuki just emanates badass just purely. But I do want them
in
like
the pirate
we want
way.
the gold. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I can't wait for him in the G1 this year, which is just, you know, a week away. So yeah, I want them to just go for the titles. I just want them to go for all the titles. I want Lashley to be like, hey, you know, Drew, you only beat me because my ex-wife, or, you know, maybe MVP can even say, because he's already referred to Lana as a thought before, you know, you only beat my man Lashley because of that thought last time. Well, she ain't a factor now, so how about we do a proper rematch? I want these guys to be relentless. I really like what they're bringing to the table. So...
God, I've been stalling, but we should really talk about this before we talk about anything that we're really excited about, which I guess we already kind of spoiled ourselves on that because of the Hurt Business. We're kind of excited about that. We talked about it already, but let's just talk about Shayna and Nia, dude.
Oh my God. I mean, most recently, I know they did the handicap match. Like, they both had to face the team of Ruby and Liv. And Liv individually, and Liv actually pinned Shayna.
And then she would have pinned Nia, but the lights went out because of fucking Retribution.
Retribution.
And I think that we can confidently say by now that Dijakovic is 100% the leader.
Yes, and can I just tag on to that? Because I don't know if Mark is still in the chat, but I kind of talked to him about this, and I think I mentioned it in the Discord. Again, guys, if you want to join the Discord, it's $3 a month on the TWitWoW Patreon. I'm actively participating in it again, and I've definitely shared my thoughts. You want me to give a shit about Retribution? Dijakovic, and I love me some Wade Barrett, but Wade Barrett, when Nexus first started, was green as goose shit. Dijakovic's already seasoned. Put the WWE title on him. What I want the WWE title match personally to be at WrestleMania is Dijakovic versus Keith Lee. That's what I want the WWE title match to be. Dijakovic is leader of Retribution, and then Keith Lee being the good guy standing up for what's right. That's personally what I fucking want. I don't know. I probably won't get it. I'm just putting that out into the universe. So good for Dijakovic that he's more than likely the leader of this thing. But keeping it on Shayna and Nia, since that's what you introduced.
Yeah,
I hate that they're a team. This team is only making Shayna look even better because we get to see her do what she does. And Nia, I just always pray that she doesn't hurt somebody because I just hate that she's even in the business. And ultimately, when it comes to tag titles, I am praying with fucking everything. Hell, if we get to live react to their match, if it happens on a pay-per-view, their title shot, which I'm guessing it's going to happen at Clash of Champions, I'm going to be doing like the hands up emoji like in the chat, giving the energy before the matchup because I want Ruby and Liv so bad to be the next women's tag team champions. Like, the quicker we get past this title reign, the better.
Yeah.
That's really all I could say about it. I mean, how are you feeling, brother?
The really frustrating thing to me, though, is that I would want us to move on to then a proper Liv and Ruby versus Iconics feud, which can't happen now.
Yeah, because the Iconics are broken up, which is, are dead, and they're clearly, seemingly going with Peyton Royce. Which I'm not saying is bad. I like Peyton Royce, but I just don't.
I will also add, though, I feel like Billy Kay got the better theme song in the breakup.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Even if, you know, Peyton is very clearly going to be pushed as the better fighter, Billy really, really won as far as the theme songs go, and like the entrances in general, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yay.
Yeah, so, I mean, Shayna and Nia, we always knew that the women's tag titles were never really going to mean anything to Vince, and that it was all like, you know, Sasha and Bayley's kind of baby, because, you know, they wanted the other women to do something, and if Ronda Rousey was going to be the priority at the time, they wanted something to do as well. And I get that when their time was done, with those tag titles, which, I mean, thankfully we did get another run with them that I feel like was better than their first one, that it was going to start to go to shit again.
Yeah.
I hate it. I mean, I really.
That's going to be the last thing we talk about, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So, I feel like this whole tag team has been a platform for Shayna to just show how adept she is. But again, my money right now is Ruby and Liv, which I just got to be honest, and I'm not going to get too deep into it because you just said we're talking about that last. I would have cared so much more about Ruby and Liv winning the titles if they would have beaten Boss and Hug for them. Because, the story was fucking there. I even explained it on Twitter. I think you even liked those tweets.
About how it's a symbol of their friendship.
Exactly. You have the one friendship that's back on the rise because Ruby's redeeming herself, and you have the one friendship that's crumbling with Sasha. So you have, the symmetry there. You have the synergy of friendship, falling, friendship, rising. It's perfect. It's Wrestling 101. And it's no, let's go strange bedfellows, fucking now of all times. WWE is so stupid, dude. It's just
WWE's favorite thing to do is to never let a good story get in the way of them pushing their favorites.
I know it's a common thing where wrestlers clap back at armchair fans like us, oh, you guys think you can run a show better, but you can't. But honestly, I see stuff like this and I'm no, actually, Adult Caillou, aka Corbin, I think I can. I actually think I can. Because if this is what qualifies as competence in this job area, then I'm fucking Einstein, okay? And I'm so it's just not that hard. And they're just oh, let's go Shayna and Nia, even though they should have had a matchup. As much as I hate Nia being in the ring with anyone, I can't stress that enough. We have to act as if they're going to use her because they are. They should have just had the matchup. Shayna should have choked her out, which would have been a great visual. Then she should have moved on to the women's championship. That because Asuka Shayna is money 1-on-1. But no, let's do Asuka, Mickie James, because we need to do the underdog story of can the vet get her, what would it be, 7th women's championship? Yeah, because that's really drawing attention. So yeah, it's kind of a mess right now. Surprise, surprise.
All right, well, God, what do we even talk about next? Do we want to talk about the Iconics breaking up and that whole situation?
I mean, I feel like we kind of touched on it. What is there really to tell? Because, you had Peyton throw Billy into Raw Underground, and that was the one thing. And I thought that was just going to be...
It just seems like it came out of nowhere, because remember, it was literally, it was last week's episode, the August 31st episode, where just out of nowhere, the number one contendership for the women's tag titles became also a losers must disband match at the same time. And I love, Paul was all over Twitter and Discord talking about, oh, this is a great stipulation that no logical team would ever actually accept. Because, oh, temporary chance of glory versus permanent misery. This is an easy decision.
Yeah. I really just, I have to facepalm at this because, again, I like these women, and I'm not even saying they don't deserve singles pushes. It's just we know how this company operates. Yeah. One of these women is going to get screwed, and again, I'm definitely thinking
let's just paint it out plain and simple. One of these women is a blonde bodybuilder. The other one isn't. Exactly.
And now they even seem a bit confused because Peyton threw Billy into Raw Underground, and you could have almost told. And see, I'm sorry to be complaining, but I guess you guys knew this was happening because we're talking about Raw, and you guys know we haven't been a fan of Raw in, I can literally say, months. You blew your load too early, I feel like, because you could have done a story here where, maybe Billy was a bit confused, being thrown to Raw Underground, tries to get a thing from Peyton. Peyton's starting to give her a cold shoulder. Billy still wants to make the friendship work because tag team and friendship are separate things, as Shayna and Nia clearly prove, right? You don't have to tag together to still maintain a friendship outside the ring. Billy wants that. Peyton does it.
Shayna and Nia are the opposite. You don't have to be friends to be an effective tag team.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I guess I'm just saying, no relationship is just predicated on, tag team wrestling. I mean, right. It should be in a way, but, whatever.
I mean, really, if anything, Sasha and Bayley are kind of an effective, mirror to that, because they aren't always tag teaming. They aren't always a tag team. They aren't always only challenging for the tag titles. They have singles aspirations. Hell, and even New Day works for that, because New Day are constantly, they're best friends. They're always together. They're always supporting each other. They're always doing, coming out for each other's entrances. But are they only tag team wrestlers? Of course not. No.
Bro, I really have to wonder those. Only since you mentioned that, I just want to very quickly touch on that because I want to finish my points about Billy and Peyton. How much New Day probably had to fight the office about that?
Yeah.
Like just telling them, because WWE doesn't seem to understand. And the only reason I say this, and I can tie this back to Billy and Peyton, like, I think they're so reductive in how they write people. And like New Day probably had to go in the office. I'm just assuming. Maybe one day they'll tell it in their tell-all shoot interview or book or whatever. But I just have to assume that they had to go in the office and be like, people can have ambitions and maintain friendships, right? And Vince doesn't understand that because he's totally warped by the capitalist mindset of, no, if you have ambitions, that means you can't let anybody get close. You have to crush everyone, right?
Yeah, because
no
anybody that might be a potential friend is also competition.
Exactly. That is literally how WWE writes everybody. And I feel like New Day, again, I'm just assuming, had to fight them every step of the way on it because they're just like, hey, why can't, say Kofi, for instance, go for the WWE Championship and not have me and Big E jealous about it? Like, why can't people genuinely support people being successful? And Vince hears that, and he actually has to do like a double take because the concept is just so foreign to him that he's like, how? Like, literally, that's probably like how he asks it. And like, I'm not even kidding, guys.
Vince Bot cannot process Chief.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, because we've seen it for years. I think we can literally say how many teams have dissolved because, so-and-so was jealous of me or this and that. I mean, at least, and I will say
that was a very Randy Orton promo style.
Yes. About jealousy or competition, or whatever. And it's like, no, why can't you just portray healthy relationships?
Healthy relationships don't sell tickets, kiddo.
God, but with Billy and Peyton, if you're gonna go that route again, you could have at least put some flavor on it. You could have at least given it some teeth because Peyton could have been.
I was really hoping that if they were gonna really push Peyton as a singles star and basically just ignore Billy Kay, that they would at least Billy Kay be her manager and do her talking for her, since she's a way better talker.
I mean, that would have been cool, and it was very clear to both of us that they didn't want to go that route with the Raw Underground shit, but essentially, like, what I'm trying to get out is, I just feel like it would have been cool if Peyton was just like, because she even said it to her in their match. She said it to her in their match, like, you're the one that got pinned. Almost as if to say, like, you're the reason we're broken up. You got pinned by, I want to say, Ruby Riott. It was Ruby Riott that pinned her. So, like, Ruby pinned you. It's your fault. And you could have built this whole thing where it's like, I've always been there for Billy. I've always tried to support her. And the one time, like, I really needed her, she let us down. Billy's really hurt by that because obviously she adores Peyton. But then they have the match. It's a decent match. Peyton gets the win again as expected. I wouldn't even be surprised if before the end of the year she had a mini feud with Asuka for the title. And they hug afterwards, though. Like, I was waiting for Peyton to lay Billy out, which, again, I guess I'm cool with that. But, like, I don't know. I guess the only reason it bothers me isn't because it happened. I mean, again, cool. I just said, present healthy relationships. But it didn't seem like WWE wanted to go that route because you have her hugging her. But just last week, you had her feed Billy to like, fucking Raw Underground. So what do you it's mixed messaging. You're being very hard to read. And wrestling shouldn't be, like, that complicated. Like, at all.
Low-key, it would be a really cool way for them to debut the Robert Stone brand on Raw, to have him start representing Peyton.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Then you could have Peyton and Aaliyah be a tag team, and you don't have the Iconics anymore, but you still have Peyton in that tag team context where she can be a little bit protected. She doesn't have to cut her own promos. Because I really, like, she is at her best when she's talking, when she's just playing off of Billy's madness. She doesn't really cut great promos on her own from what I've seen. But you put her with the Robert Stone brand, you give her that talking manager, you give her a partner that can take falls for her and protect her in that way, and you kind of let her get away with some cheating in some matches, and I could believe her beating Asuka, because then you can get Robert Stone, because that's the one fucking thing that they always insist on having Asuka be, is gullible as hell. All it takes is a little tiny attempt at a distraction, and she completely lets go of everything she's doing. She could have fucking Peyton Royce in the Asuka lock, 30 seconds in, Peyton lifts her hand like she's going to go to tap. Robert Stone gets up on the apron, and Asuka completely lets go of the Asuka lock to go check out what he's doing. Like, it's really fucking annoying, but it's one way that they could book a women's championship change for Peyton Royce to become the Raw Women's Champion that wouldn't be completely unbelievable.
I think that's 100% right. I think that's 100% right. And personally, why I love the idea of Payne being with the Robert Stone brand is personally, I don't want Robert's longest standing client to be freaking Aaliyah. I'd like him to hold on to a client for more than a cup of coffee. But it seemed like him and Chelsea Green were really getting off the ground. I was really excited about what those two could do together.
And then Charlotte corrupted her.
And then Charlotte corrupted her for fucking nothing.
And apparently now, like, a lot of people think Chelsea is going to be in Retribution.
I mean, I'm hoping so, because we haven't seen her since. And then
that's another thing that we got to talk about. Then, by the way, when we're done talking about this, let's talk about Retribution.
Well, we can even dovetail into that now, because I think I'm even hearing rumors that Mercedes might be in Retribution as well.
I've heard the same rumors. Yeah, I've heard that Mercedes is going to be in it. I've also heard that Mia Yim is going to be in it. So, and I think a lot of people actually think that Mia Yim was the one talking on Monday, but I think that was Mercedes, believe it or not.
Right. Yeah, I mean, damn, Robert, you're really making people hate the WWE system if that's what their whole vibe is about. I mean, fucking first Chelsea, then Mercedes. Like, goddamn, is Robert part of that Retribution?
What a powerful trio of women, though. If it really is Chelsea, Mia, and Mercedes, holy shit.
See, that's a women's aspect of a faction that's fucking legit.
Yeah,
and honestly, I just
and especially if the three dudes stay true to who everyone thinks they are. And if it's Dijakovic, Dio Madden, and Shane Thorne, holy shit, I'm going to love this faction.
Dude, absolutely. I know some people are kind of over it because of the antics, and I know I jokingly said Robert Stone might be a part of Retribution. I would fucking die. And I would say this is my favorite angle of the year if Robert Stone was Chainsaw Guy. Like, fucking tops. Fucking,
oh my god.
100%. 100% angle of the year if Robert Stone's Chainsaw Guy. You just made me
want to go back and rewatch this Chainsaw segment and imagine Robert Stone being that guy.
I already told you, the dream for me is that YouTube video where it's kind of like faded in while Vince McMahon inject a lethal dose of poison. And it's just the guy raising the chainsaw. Yeah. I know the internet can hear me. Somebody's going to make this happen for me, and I will. Well, I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. I'll slide into your DMs literally and figuratively, and we'll work the rest out. But yeah, no, dude, just to kind of touch on that, because you and I had a nice conversation about it. And I'm probably not going to be able to replicate the magic of that conversation because, you know, I actually went so in depth with it that I kind of gave you an analysis of how I feel about each member being in that faction.
Yeah.
Needless to say, though, I'm not going to do that because that would eat up way too much time and I can't even remember everything that I said. But I will say that's an OP fucking faction.
Yeah.
And, like, if you really – I'm telling you, if WWE looks at Retribution as we can redeem ourselves from the Nexus and the whole SummerSlam 2010 and like all that bullshit.
TLC 2010.
TLC 2010. I'm telling you, my personal dream, and I know Javaris is like the big Keith Lee fan. I don't even know if he reacted to my idea. I want Dijakovic with the Retribution by his side to win the WWE title, maybe even destroy it the way that Cage ripped up the Lucha Underground title. Wouldn't that fucking be something? If they really hate the WWE system, what embodies it more than the WWE Championship? You could do some NWO shit with it, but I'm not even like spray paint, but like desecrate it.
Heel Dijakovic with Retribution behind his back versus babyface Drew McIntyre for the WWE title at WrestleMania. Give me all of it. Inject it into my veins. I need it. Yes.
And see, like I already said, I would have him beat Drew earlier, and the WrestleMania match to me would be Dijakovic, Keith Lee, because them doing the shit that they do at a fucking WrestleMania.
Oh my god!
Like, yeah,
that's silly, but I need it in my life.
Yeah. I haven't given up on this group. I thought the promo that they cut was good. Now let me just say this: I understand why it's not everybody's cup of tea. I can see why. But I'm enjoying the tea personally. Like, I'm still drinking it. I'm still like, whatever. When they're used. I
think they might have slipped a little something into the tea to make you feel a little funny after you drink it. But maybe that's why we like it so much.
I mean, dude. When somebody feels like a badass and they're going to cut the top rope with a fucking chain, like, I'm here for the ride. Okay? Whatever you're going to fucking do it. And if it's made of those people, that's really fucking exciting. And the only sad thing is, and we're already kind of talking about it, you know, with Iconics, and we're going to talk about it soon with Golden Role Model / Boss and Hug. They don't really know how to keep a faction together long term. So, however long you are planning on keeping these guys together, make it count, please. Like, I would fucking pop so big if Shane Thorne became U.S. champion as part of Retribution, or one of the women won the women's championship, and then the other two won the women's tag titles. Like,
yeah,
make these people a force, and then honestly. have them treat the titles the way Naito treats the IC title in New Japan, because
throw it around, disrespect. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, why? Because they're representative of the same system that's rejected them and that they fucking despise. Why would I then revel in gold if it's just emblematic still of a system that I'm trying to take down? Abuse those titles. Desecrate those titles. Can you imagine Dijak? People got mad. Well, mad. I think a lot of us internet geeks loved it. When Daniel Bryan brought out the eco-friendly WWE title. Imagine if there wasn't even like a new title. You were just abusing the title that exists. Yeah, we don't need like another custom title unless it was really cool, because I think the Fiend experiment kind of put a dent in that. But yeah, throw it around, abuse it, disrespect it, and just be like, we do this because that's exactly how we feel about this company. You think what? Because we're champions, we love this company now? No, that just gives us the power to destroy it even more. Make these guys a force. God damn.
God damn it, John. You're building this up, and it's not going to be anything close to as cool as you're describing, and then we're just going to hate it.
I know. Listen, I can't help that my face is completely antithetical to the product, okay? It's just...
Just remember, when Retribution sucks, it's all your fault.
Remember that it's not. Remember what you learned in therapy. I'm not even going to get it this week, thanks. I'm going to wait another week and be like, I was blamed for an ankle sucking, and it didn't have to because there was a chainsaw, and I don't understand anything. My therapist is going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So yeah, I think I've spoken about Retribution enough. Unless there's anything you want to add, we can move on.
Oh, can we move on? That's funny because I don't fucking know what we're moving on to.
Whoa! Maybe it's time to talk about Drew. Or is there anything? Yeah.
Because there's been a lot going on with Drew and Randy Orton and Keith Lee. Because remember, last week we had the 3 singles matches to determine who would be in the triple threat to determine who would challenge Drew at Clash of Champions. And it was Keith Lee versus Ziggler, Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, and Dominic Mysterio. It was originally supposed to be Rey, but Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. And
yeah,
of course, Keith Lee beat Ziggler. And then, of course, Randy Orton beat Kevin Owens. And I forget, was it Dominic or Seth that got beat by Orton in the match? It was right?
Yeah, it was Seth, because, he ate a spirit bomb, and then Keith ate an RKO,
yeah.
But then Orton pinned Seth rather than Keith just to protect Keith, which I thought was really smart.
All right, and then, of course, like we just kind of mentioned, Orton won, and then this week was the based-ass Drew kicking Orton's head off all night. It was great. It was fucking awesome.
My only nitpick about it, and it's the pickiest of nits, let me qualify, because it was so good. But when they said that, Drew had, a fractured or broken jaw, I didn't think he was going to talk. The final Claymore, when he's originally beating Orton up, he does talk a little bit of trash. I would have kept him silent the whole time. Silent Badass Drew was fucking great. This dude that can't even talk because his jaw's broken, but he's still able to beat the shit out of you, I was here for it. And, I'm not saying it ruined it for me when he talked trash. That's why I called it the pickiest of nits. I just thought that's where they were going. That Drew was going to be silent until maybe after Clash of Champions. And I'm like, okay, that's really different to do with the top guy when a crucial aspect is their ability to be able to talk. But, fuck yeah. Let it fly. Let it ride. But, yeah, man, the way they presented Drew just hunting Orton down was fucking great. Because they made Drew just vulnerable enough that it's okay, even he can be beat. But they also kept that badassery. See, WWE does show me that they can do it. Being vulnerable and being badass aren't mutually exclusive, And they just proved it with Drew because he got punted in the head 3 times and stretchered out. And then he comes back and that's his retort. Perfect.
Yep.
I loved it. I loved everything about it.
Is there anything else for us to talk about Raw-wise?
I don't think so, man. At least
Orton,
if there is, I wouldn't even do.
Lee Ziggler, Shayna and Nia we already talked about. Asuka. Oh, Asuka and Mickie James. That's right.
Yeah, I did touch on this a little bit, but we didn't really go into it.
Right, we raised it. We didn't really talk about it.
Yeah, let's get over this quick.
Fucking Lana and Natalya. Oh, I hate it.
Yeah, do you want that to be the review? Because I co-sign. We can move on to SmackDown. Yeah, because what is
it? Why?
Every goddamn year.
How are you going to take somebody who's awful on the mic and put them with somebody who's awful on the mic to cut their promos for them. And they're both so bad at everything. Oh my god. At least Lana has an excuse, right? Lana isn't really a trained professional wrestler. Like she didn't like come up through the system. She didn't spend any time on the indies. She didn't go to like a proper wrestling school. And at this point I really struggle to even call the fucking Performance Center a proper wrestling school because they don't really teach you how to wrestle there. And but Natalya is just as bad as Lana at everything, and she's been doing this for 20 years now.
Yeah. I hate it. Lana just being like, I'm an influencer. First of all, I'm not even saying that that's untrue, but Lana, there's a limit. Like, Natalya might be the first person in my life. I'm sure there are others, but I'm just so blinded by anger and fatigue that I can't even think right now. That like has negative personality. Not even no personality. You're so committed to being bland as shit, you actually managed to have negative personality.
I mean, it would be really impressive if it wasn't so terrible.
Yeah. And like, I feel bad for Asuka. Now look, I've really gotten to the point where I've accepted that I think any champion, because you saw it with Drew with Ziggler, like any champion is going to have a middling feud. No, I think it's very rare that a champion can have a perfect run unless you're really good and you elevate everybody. Like I would say Daniel Bryan's WWE title run that he had when he was a heel was probably a perfect title run because even though he kind of sometimes worked with people that were like meh, he always made it interesting with his promos.
Yeah.
Asuka has a very interesting and captivating energy. I know her English isn't perfect, but she's very believable on the mic at least. But like she can't save this. No. Like I don't believe in Asuka. I wouldn't even believe in Becky's ability to save this. To be fair, like no. I would still I would just be like no, there is no saving this.
Didn't Becky have a feud with Natalya last year though?
I think she did. And it wasn't the worst thing, but it was probably, I couldn't even remember it. I was even going to say, like, it was probably the most forgettable part of her title reign. And at least for me, I guess it was. Because I can't even really recall much. I think they did a submission match at one point. And, you know, maybe, like, that's all that I remember.
Oh, God. Didn't Becky tap out to Natalya at one point while she was champion, like, in a non-title match?
I want to say no.
I want to say it was like Becky and Charlotte or Becky and someone versus Natalya and Charlotte. Something involving Charlotte, I want to say. And Natalya got Becky to tap, I think.
I mean, here's the thing, bro. I'm not saying you're wrong because I could totally buy WWE doing that to like the top performer in the company. But at the same time, I don't want to believe it because she's the top performer in the company at that time. And like, I don't know if that's a good finish or a good look.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I'm probably tripping. I probably am talking out.
Again, though, dude, with this company, who even knows? Like, I'm not even fully discounting you for that exact reason. And now they're doing the whole Mickie James thing where it's like, oh, I'm back and I want that one last title run. Which, here's the thing, I'm not even necessarily against that story, but this isn't a good time because, like, Asuka, I'm really enjoying her as champion. I don't want this story to have its crescendo at Asuka's expense. Now, if a Natalya was champion, I'd be like, oh, fucking go for it. Hell yeah, let's do it. Let's just get Mickie one last run. It doesn't mean anything anyway. But Asuka got bequeathed the title by Becky. Now, really, and that wasn't even the this run because this most recent run she had to win it off of Sasha. But yeah, like Asuka's had to fight tooth and nail to be the definitive Raw Women's Champion in the eyes of a lot of people. I feel like she's finally in that groove. Let's not do this. And I don't think they will, to be fair. I would still like to think that
I mean, dude, now, if any time there was ever a time to reveal the members of Retribution and have them start seeking titles, it's fucking now. I would kill for Mercedes Martinez versus Asuka. Holy shit.
Dude, yes. 100% yes. Mercedes versus Asuka, Mia versus Asuka. Yeah.
I also think that's a reason why people are getting kind of sick of the Retribution shit because, like, it's been going on for months at this point and we still have no clue who's in it. And even though we think we know who's in it, the WWE doesn't really seem like they have any intention of revealing who's in it anytime soon, which is the frustrating thing.
Right.
Like, I think that in my mind, I'm just thinking, like, Emelina, like that went for 17 weeks and then it disappeared after a week of a debut. I just hope that they don't try and drag this retribution thing out so that they can say that these people debuted at Survivor Series or something. Like, we're 2 months away. No.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Frankly, I felt like they should have, like, demasked or dehooded or, revealed who they were at Payback.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
How are you going to not reveal the members of a freaking group called Retribution at a pay-per-view called Payback?
I don't know, dude. WWE missed opportunities, right? Name a more iconic duo. That's what you always say.
It's going to be like, haha, we're getting Retribution, but not Payback. We're going to get our Retribution at Clash of Champions.
But the pay-per-view name and the thing, and oh, man.
You sounded like Swiper the Fox. Oh, man.
Only thing I'm swiping is the fucking remote to change the channel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can always change the channel from USA to Fox because next up is SmackDown.
Oh, dude, this honestly should be so much easier because we pretty much did like a whole Rocket League stream on last week's
I will say
SmackDown.
though, before we do get into SmackDown, there's two other things that I did briefly want to touch on. The first being kind of the beatdown on Murphy by the whole Mysterio family kind of felt pretty decisive, and we're going to get, obviously, a follow-up on that on Monday. But then the other thing was a pretty perfect way to transition to SmackDown, because for some reason they're doing champions versus champions for the tag division. They're going to do Cesaro and Nakamura, who showed up on Raw this week, versus the Street Profits.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it, but I'm wondering if it's going to have a further tie into Clash of Champions, which would be even weirder given what we saw this past Friday.
Do you think they're going
to Nakamura?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that they're going to like combine the belts into one?
Honestly, that was my
just
first
go
thought,
back to having WWE tag titles like the way that they do with the women.
Yeah, dude. That honestly was my first thought when they confronted him. I'm like, oh, this is the beginning of them merging the tag belts, which I guess I'm not opposed to. But again, we've seen how well the women's tag titles have worked.
God. Well, yeah, and not only that, but it feels like such a lazy move to God. Do I want to go down this tangent? Oh, John, should I?
You might as well do it. We're here, man.
I miss when we had two separate feeling shows with their own pay-per-views, goddammit. I miss the real brand split in late 2016 and 2017 when we had dual branded shows that went for like 2.5 hours every other week. I loved that shit. I miss it so much.
Yeah, wrestling is just always so much better when you feel like you're watching two distinct programs. Like, because that was Ruthless Aggression era too, man. You know, Bischoff running Raw, Stephanie running SmackDown. They 2016, and that whole period, going to have brand exclusive pay-per-views. It's just better that way, and you can focus on more people rather than being like, yeah.
I don't understand how that isn't better financially for them too, because they're running more pay-per-views then too. Like, and if you're running 2 pay-per-views a month, one for each brand, then people don't even have to like both brands in order to want to buy the network, because they only have to like one of them. And, $10 a month for a pay-per-view is still a great value. And hell, if you like both, then $10 a month for 2 pay-per-views is even better.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, man. I wish we still had the hard brand split. I just feel like programming's better that way.
I want it back. I want it really, really bad. Because I have this, I don't want to say OCD. I have this anal retentive thing where I fucking hate seeing people from one brand on the other brand. I just want there to be a hard split. I just want definitive, isolated rosters. I don't want to see Cesaro and Nakamura on Raw, and I don't want to see the Street Profits on SmackDown. I don't want the blending. I don't want a purple brand. I want a red brand, and I want a blue brand. That's all I want. And the draft is even coming up next month. And how do you make a draft matter? By making it very clear that you can't jump to the other fucking brand for no reason.
Exactly. They did a thing recently, and I'll admit that it was clever because they're doing the whole Miz Morrison Otis briefcase thing, and the only tie-in with Raw there is that Mandy Rose did get traded to Raw. When Miz said, I'm going to call in a favor.
See, that's part of the storyline, though. The Miz is saying that Mandy got traded to Raw. Mandy had no clue what the fuck was going on. This is all part of the Miz and Morrison versus Otis and Tucker storyline. Basically, Miz trying to fuck with Otis.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, maybe in those instances I can understand, like, shakeups outside of the draft because it's more like a storyline mechanism. But even then, like, it should be very sparingly. Like, we won a hard brand split. And if they're going to merge the tag titles, like, I feel like there are going to be tag teams that are just neglected. Like, however you're feeling about the Lucha House Party storyline on SmackDown right now, at least they're getting featured, and at least they're telling some kind of a story. Would that even happen if we had just one tag team champion? Because I'm sure it would just kind of be a revolving door thing, at least to me. Maybe I'm way too cynical. But yeah, like, I feel like when you have separate titles and a hard brand split, you're able to focus on those acts that if everything was just kind of merged into one thing would often get left to the wayside because we've got to focus on the draws and we've got to focus on like the top stars all the fucking time, which means we can't create any new stars because we're too busy focusing on the stars that are now all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
That's going to be the stip, though, I expect. I expect it to be Miz and Morrison in a tag match against Heavy Machinery, where if Miz and Morrison win, they get the briefcase, or Morrison, I guess, gets the briefcase, since he's been the one pursuing it. And if Otis and Tucker win, Mandy comes back to SmackDown. That's my guess as far as what they're going for here.
That actually makes a lot of sense. So we'll see if that's what they do. And Miz better not fuck it up for him that time. But we'll talk more about that when we get to SmackDown, which can't be soon enough. Are we close? How much more do we have to talk about?
We're here. Because remember, we were just talking about, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions showing up on Raw. Well, the Raw Tag Team Champions showed up on SmackDown during the match involving the Lucha House Party, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And Lucha House Party, Kalisto's the one turning heel, right? Because he seems like he's getting a bit more arrogant in the group.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's like, as the leader of Lucha House Party, and I'll be honest, a man as diminutive as Kalisto, I mean, Morrow used to call him the diminutive Dynamo, being such a douche, it hits right. It hits right, like, how dare you talk to me when you're that height? Yeah, how dare I? And yet here I am doing it. It's like, okay, Kalisto, okay, we see you.
Well, and then Kalisto, because of the distraction from the Street Profits, Kalisto was the one who was able to pin Cesaro for the win. So he literally was, like, he says he's the leader, he claims it, and then he proves it through his action by getting the win for his team.
Oh, and I have to give credit to Sean Carpenter, who pointed this out to me in the Discord. See, great things happen when you join the Discord, guys. Apparently, Kalisto never even tagged out of the match either. So he was like...
Oh, that's amazing.
Screw you guys, I'm doing this on my own. So, and I even said, no, it would take too long. Fuck. I wanted to read you guys verbatim what I said about the tag match.
Do it.
But I think essentially it would take too much time to find, so I'm going to paraphrase. I think what I said about it was...
Is this on Twitter?
No, this is in the Discord. But I think it would take too long to like go into that channel and find it, so I'm going to paraphrase. What I loved about that finish of Kalisto pinning Cesaro was that it furthered, again, the angle with Cesaro Nakamura and the Street Profits, for their champion collision on Monday, which, by the way, quick side note, I am like Cesaro and Nakamura. Oh, you found it. Sweet.
You know what's actually so good about that finish? It furthers two angles at once. It promotes the champion versus champion tag match on Monday, and Kalisto, who declared himself the leader of LHP, just got the winning pinfall, which is going to further bolster his ego and breed dissent in the group.
Yeah, it was a brilliant finish. It was a brilliant finish for precisely that reason. And yeah, like, and just a quick side note, like, I'm really starting to love Cesaro and Nakamura as a team. Like, I love the whole Champions Lounge.
Artist Collective.
Yeah, the Artist Collective. That double team they did where, like, Cesaro had, I guess it was Kalisto if he never tagged out, in the gut-wrench suplex, and Nakamura came off the rope with the knee, and he hits the knee, and then, Kalisto gets gut-wrench suplex. Like, I love that these guys, they just adapt to whatever they're in, especially Cesaro. You want to talk about his fucking staying power, man. Like, that dude does it all. And, yeah, I'm really digging the team. So, it's good shit.
I want to say it was last week on Talking Smack that Cesaro basically talked about why he's never pushed as like a singles guy in the main event scene and how he's never had a world title shot and stuff.
Oh, I didn't know he even talked about that. That sounds interesting, though. Did he just say because Vince is awful and out of touch? No,
I know it was a very company answer. It was a very like I do my job. I think I do my job very well, and I'm not gonna overstep any lines, kind of thing.
Yeah, there you go. Cesaro, always the professional.
Didn't that used to be his nickname, the Professional?
Yeah, and I actually liked what they were doing with it until they stopped doing it. Typical WWE.
All right. God. We you know what? We need to just move on before we start talking about things.
We need to move on to talk about things so that we don't talk about other things.
That we aren't supposed to talk about. Yeah, let's talk about Nikki Cross since that's the thing you hated most.
Yes! Oh my god. Okay, so I'm just gonna unequivocally take the floor here. I fucking hated everything about this. Oh my god. This was, dude, you need to understand something. If we were still doing like TWitWoW Classic, this would be the biggest heat of the night I probably would have had in months. And Raw's a thing. Like,
wow.
I hated this. Oh my god. So you have Nikki, who I'm not saying she's not going to. They're just going to take a lot longer with it than they should. She should be feuding with Alexa because Alexa's losing her goddamn mind. And showing concern, this and that, on again, off again. You know, Alexa, I think, broke a mug or something that Nikki got her.
That was a couple weeks ago, yeah.
That was a couple weeks ago. You know, they're doing the whole thing. The Fatal 4-Way gets announced. You know what? What isn't going to be in this rant, is the exclusion of Naomi from this Fatal 4-Way. Because I did hear that Naomi's getting a bigger push. Maybe they're going to do some more shoot shit where Naomi's like, why did I get passed over? Because Naomi Deserves Better was trending again. So I think WWE's doing, I want to believe that they're doing a masterwork of like a lot of us, including me. But I'm not going to include that.
Type shit.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I'm not going to touch that. Oh, Javaris, you're going to love what's coming. Because for the first time, I really feel like we're going to synergize here, bud. So I'm not going to touch that because I'm going to play the long game with that. What I am going to touch is that fucking Nikki Cross was in this shit again. How many fucking title shots do you need? How many times does Bayley have to beat you? Because I know that, like, the one pay-per-view, I can't even remember it because they've worked so many times together. You know, she kind of beat Nikki dirty because of the whole, like, fucking boss ring that Sasha wears on her hand, you know, with the gut shot. But then the SmackDown rematch, Bayley beat her clean. Bayley beat her straight up 100% clean. You shouldn't get any more fucking title shots at all. And she's in the Fatal 4-Way. That's bad enough that she was included. That's bad enough that she was even included. Then, after Bayley cuts her brilliant promo, which we'll get to, because we're saving all that for last, Nikki comes out. Bayley's carrying the chair. Nikki kind of eyes her down like, I'm ready to come at you again. Bayley hits her in the back with the chair. Great. Naomi can take her place. This is where I'll kind of mention Naomi, only in this context. Naomi's going to take her place, right? Wrong. Nikki says, I can do it. I can tough it out. I can continue. Okay, fine. I get it. Proud baby face, you know, I can ride with this. But then, we have a little bit of the match, everybody wrestling, everybody doing shit. Alexa hits Sister Abigail to Nikki on the floor.
Yep.
She looks knocked the fuck out. Alexa walks out of the match. So it's like, okay, now I guess it'll be a triple threat, but we got to replace Nikki because she's taking a chair shot and a Sister Abigail on the floor. Should be out. Nope. We're going to do Tamina versus Lacey for a little bit. And then, you know, and when I'm thinking that Naomi can come in any minute now. Nope. Nikki breaks up a pin attempt. Then, just keeps getting worse. Lacey lays out Tamina with a woman's right. Great, she's just going to pin Lacey, right? No, they're going to have a little bit of a back and forth. She's going to duck a woman's right. She's going to hit the purge from, like, the top rope purge kind of thing. Not even going to pin Lacey, though, because then she's going to interact with Tamina, so she's going to overcome both Tamina and Lacey after being hit with a chair and a Sister Abigail, and she's going to pin Tamina and win. Holy fucking shit. Straight up, and I don't even know if I did the hashtag for this, Super Nikki. That's what I'm going to call her until Clash Champions is over. Guys, if you hate me for this, I apologize, but they did it. You can blame SmackDown for this. I'm referring to her as Super Nikki until Clash Champions is over. If I've had to refer to Corbin as King Corbin until fucking September, we've got a few more days. Then, yeah, until Clash Champions, because that bullshit, you eat a chair shot, you eat a Sister Abigail, you eat offense in the match that you're kind of toughing it out in, and you fucking win, and you get another title shot that, like, there's no story there. All this is all this is a distraction because either you're waiting for Sasha to get back in Hell in a Cell. And by the way, guys, and I'm sorry to say this to you, Mark, because I know how much you wanted it. I'm not even against you, Mark, because I love the idea too. But you know what this finish also did, Mark? Because I don't know if you saw it like I did. It soured a lot of people on Sasha Bayley at WrestleMania. Why? Because they believe Bayley's title reign can't hold out that long. They're like, there's no way her title reign with this division can hold out that long. Sasha needs to win it at Hell in a Cell. That's what this finish fucking did. By giving Nikki another title shot, you've made people lose faith in the division to the point where they're pleading for Sasha to come back as soon as possible to win the match inside Hell in a Cell. You fucking idiots. Like, I honestly, dude, I would have preferred Tamina win this. Why? Because you could have at least told a mini story of, well, I'm going to destroy Team Bad. You could have done Tamina. You could have saved Naomi, because Naomi could have been like, me and Sasha, we've had our differences, but we used to run together.
Yep.
And, like, you guys, you saying that she was never a friend, I'm not down with that, whatever. And
yeah, Tamina, to me, if I had to choose between the 4 women in this match, Tamina was easily the best choice for that reason and that reason alone.
Exactly. You do it for the Sasha connection. You keep Bayley connected to Sasha. Completely. Even when she feels like Sasha's out of frame, which, again, we'll get all into that when we discuss her promo and just everything. But you keep Sasha in the conversation by going to her other relationships that, didn't viciously betray her. You build Naomi up, you do that, but you go back to fucking Nikki. So once again, like so many other stories, you shit on the narrative. I'm not going to be hyperbolic and say you shit on it completely, because the core narrative is Sasha Bayley. That's still intact. But you could have augmented it. You could have played with it. But nah. Why do that? It's right there. We just do Nikki Bayley again. Again. I hated this so much, dude. And you know why I hated it? Because the woman that I've been calling, and I'm gonna be doing it again when we talk about it, the best in the fucking world, has to prove it again. Why? Because fuck you. That's why. She's gonna make me care about this match, and not because I want to see Nikki win the championship. And can I just say too, it's worse coming from me. And Ashton can vouch for me here, because for the longest time, I've been defending Nikki Cross. Mm-hmm. I've been saying, Ashton, she's solid in the ring. Ashton, her character's toned down. She's not that bad. You lost me. You lost the only person in your fucking corner, because now it was bad enough that you got so many title shots. Now you're fucking Super Nikki. And I would prefer crazy Nikki Cross to fucking Super Nikki, which I wanted to barf. I hated this so fucking much. Oh my God. So yeah, biggest heat of the night. If we were doing like TWitWoW Classic, it would have been the biggest heat of the night I've had in the longest time, because everything about this pissed me off. Like, you only did it because you know that we know that Bayley beat her clean. So you want to make Nikki seem even stronger, because it's like, is this the Nikki Cross that's going to be Bayley? No, it's not. Shut the fuck up. Go in the corner. Do you have anything you want to say about this?
To be perfectly honest, I was barely paying attention to this particular segment, and you're making me really happy that I wasn't. And the reason, by the way, that I wasn't is because as soon as I saw the graphic not include Naomi, I checked out. Why the fuck should I care? If Naomi isn't involved, at this point, I don't give a fuck. We know Sasha's not coming back for a little bit. Maybe not until... Maybe she'll be back. I can't see her returning earlier than Clash itself. I could see her returning at Clash to attack Bayley after she retains, right? That's the earliest I can see Sasha coming back. I wouldn't be surprised if they held off for her to return until Royal Rumble and have her return and win the thing. But at the earliest I see her coming back is Clash, attacks Bayley after the retention, challenges and wins the title at Hell in a Cell. That, to me, is like most likely scenario, basically. But I knew that whoever was facing Bayley wouldn't win the title anyway, but I was really hoping it would be Naomi, because Naomi deserves a fucking opportunity to put on a great match with an opponent that's been putting on great matches with everyone on a pay-per-view. And no, it's 4 women that we've seen challenge for the title already this year and lose, and I just don't care about any of them. As far as my personal fandom, the person in this match who I'm the biggest fan of is Alexa Bliss, and I don't give a fuck about Alexa Bliss.
Yeah. This whole thing just irritated me to no end. And Mark just said in chat, they already have Sasha advertised for a satellite interview for Friday. You know why I can't even be mad? For the same reason that nobody else was mad. Because you just said this is what your division is. And then Bayley had to be on top of her fucking game. I hate how wrestling works sometimes. I really fucking hate how wrestling works sometimes. Because Bayley had to be on top of her game, like, that she's ever been, when the division that she's on top of her game in is not, I won't say it at its absolute worst because it has Bayley and Sasha in it. But man, if it wasn't for them, what the fuck? Oh my God. Because even the good people you have like Naomi, I don't know. Again, I'm going to try and play the long game with that. We'll see.
See, and even Naomi, like, I love Naomi as a person, but I don't think she's an amazing wrestler. I think she's a good wrestler. I think she's a solid wrestler. I think she's able to put on good matches with people the talent of Bayley's level because, you know, they can do some cool shit while the other person carries the psychology portion of the match. But at the end of the day, she's new. She's likable. She's fun. She has a good entrance. It's like, I just so much rather see her to get this opportunity than any of the fucking 3 white girls or Tamina. Like, and again, I can't emphasize enough, even Tamina would have been better than Lacey, Nikki, or Alexa because of the connection to Sasha. Because at the end of the day, no matter what Bayley thinks she's doing next, it will all come back to Sasha. It's like you throw a fucking rock into a river. It doesn't stop the flow of the river. The river continues flowing out around the rock. It's nothing but a speed bump in Bayley's, you know, path to Sasha Banks.
You said that perfectly. Yeah, I love that. I'm not going to add anything onto that. What do we want to talk about next?
Fuck if I know, man.
Because again, we already discussed last week extensively, like on Rocket League, so I'm cool just being a bit quicker about that. And I know this week not as many people were high on, but I still
Sami
enjoyed it.
Zayn.
You mean the fucking savior of SmackDown and more importantly the Intercontinental Championship?
Yes.
Fuck yeah, but you know what? You go first because I just did a long rant. I want you to be able to talk too, so you go on Sami Zayn.
Dude, I've just been loving Sami Zayn so much. Like, ever since, it's one of those really odd cases where you don't realize how much you miss somebody until they come back. Like, that's so rare for me, because normally the saying is, you don't know what you got till it's gone. In this case, you didn't know what was gone till they came back. Like, it's crazy how different of an energy SmackDown gets when Sami Zayn shows the fuck up. And, like, I'm just loving him. I'm just loving the whole act of, like, I'm the Intercontinental Champion. I never lost the title. The outrage, the way that, like, when anything involving the Intercontinental title happens that doesn't involve him, he's immediately there to protest it and be like, no, this isn't right. And then, like, even this week when he was, like, trying to stop the match and everything, fucking Adam Pearce had to have his 2 security guys come out and bring Sami away. Like, everything that Sami Zayn is doing right now doesn't need to turn to gold because it's coming from him, so it's already gold.
Just to kind of keep it a bit, because I really went in on Nikki there, and I need to kind of recoup, but...
Dude, you went in on Nikki, now's your chance to talk about something that you love instead of something you hate.
That is very true. I was going to say that if Sami keeps this up, which I have no reason to believe that he won't, he could very well be number 1 in my WWE Fave 5, depending on what they do with Morrison, too, because I'm thinking they're getting ready to do at least do a little something with him, and they've kind of been doing a little something with him. But Sami, man, he's on a whole other level. I actually tweeted last night, I quote tweeted his SmackDown exclusive promo, where he said that the shit that he's been doing, interrupting IC title matches and this and that, he said there's going to be no swanton bombs, there's going to be no phenomenal forearms, this and that, because I'm the Intercontinental Champion. I quote tweeted that promo and I said, Sami's getting back to that place to me where he was in 2018 when he turned heel and I really wanted him to be WWE Champion. He's getting back to that place. I don't know if he's, like, good to go physically to really go the distance and have these matches, because I heard they were kind of, like, pulling him back because he was dealing with some injuries. Maybe that's what the time off allowed him to do, was really heel, in which case that's exciting as fuck to me, because this dude is so good. And I looked, and I think Sami, let me just look again because I don't want to speak ignorantly. I think Sami might be 36 years old, maybe even 33. Let's see. He's 36 years old. He's 36 years old. Hell, I've seen people win the title at 37, 38. I'm not going to give up the fucking dream. Sami is one of the best things that SmackDown has. Like, easily. Oh, my God.
And can I just add, since we know that they are going to be doing a draft soon, please keep Sami and Kevin Owens on separate shows. Please.
Yes.
Because it feels like whenever they're on the same show, they're just magnetically drawn to each other, and they always end up either teaming or feuding every single fucking time. And, like, I'm starting to realize that the reason that we get so upset about this shit is because it feels like the WWE is, like, just masterfully wasting opportunities that are not always going to be around. Like right now, Bayley is the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion of all time, and they are not taking advantage of her being as in the zone right now as she is. Asuka, same thing. She is this amazing, entertaining dynamo on Monday Night Raw as the Raw Women's Champion, and they are just intentionally letting that slip by and just saying, oh no, you know what, we don't need to do anything exceptional with her, we'll just have her, you know, hold the title and put on matches with mediocre talent, right? I want a version of WWE where they understand how limited their time is, with talents at their best, and they do everything in their power to take advantage of that. Basically, if you're a football fan, you'll understand what I say when I mean I want the WWE to treat these amazing talents like Asuka and Bayley the way NFL teams treat really, really good quarterbacks on rookie deals. They stack the shit out of the team around them. They pay up for free agents. They do everything in their power to try and win a Super Bowl as quickly as possible, because as soon as that quarterback hits year 5, they have to open up their banks to pay that guy, and they're no longer able to afford that shit. So they do everything in their power. They break the bank to try and surround the young quarterback with an amazing team to try and win the Super Bowl immediately, because they know that once they have to open their checkbooks, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to do. I want WWE to have that mentality. I want WWE to see Asuka's on the top of her game right now. She's absolutely killing it. Bayley is arguably the best wrestler in the world right now. We need to be doing everything in our power to take advantage of these exceptional talents. And in our mind, taking advantage of exceptional talents is putting them against other great talents to put on fucking 5-star matches and tell amazing stories, like what they're trying to kind of do with Bayley and Sasha. But in their minds, taking advantage of exceptional talents is they can carry mediocre talents to passable matches. Let's put these mediocre talents in the ring with them.
Dude, honestly, this is one of those times, and I know I live in a fantasy world, and this is as fantastical as it gets. I wish we weren't in a hyper-capitalist culture, and I wish WWE wasn't a hyper-capitalist company, because if I had an act as hot as Bayley, just to use that as an example, because, I'm so high on her right now,
right?
I'd be calling Stardom, and I'd be like, hey, how would you like to do some business? Mayu versus Bayley.
Yep.
Champion versus... dude... What wrestling could be and what it actually is will always break my heart, honestly. Yeah. It'll always break my fucking heart. But to keep the focus on Sammy and to bring that back, the dude can talk me into anything. If he was wrestling a paper bag and he had a 5-minute promo to sell it, I would hear the 5-minute promo, and then I'd be using our platform here to be arguing with you and everybody else why that should be the main event of WrestleMania. Like, he's just that good of a promo to me. I fucking love Sammy on the mic. And he's not even lying. He never lost the Intercontinental title. Personal reasons to take time off. The other Intercontinental champions are front because nobody beat Sammy. And he did. And when he said he won the title fair and square, I mean, you can kind of question it because, well, wait, didn't you win in a 3-on-1 indie convention against Braun Strowman? But it was a legally sanctioned match, operating within the rules. So, by that
and not to mention, the WWE refuses to acknowledge the old... you have to defend the title within 30 days or you'll be stripped rule that they used to have. They used to have that, but Brock's reigns basically made them not acknowledge that on screen anymore.
Exactly. So if it's good for Brock, why isn't it good for Sammy? I don't know.
Maybe some different clauses in their contracts. We'll see.
Maybe. But I'm loving his energy. It's the only thing making me give a shit about Jeff Hardy as the Intercontinental Champion right now is that, well, now I can say that he's not. Sami Zayn's my Intercontinental Champion, which I have said that every chance that I've gotten. And yeah, just to kind of touch on more substantively what you said about Sami and Kevin, which kind of like led into that whole thing. Yeah, I like Sami and Kevin working with other people. Would I enjoy another Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn feud with Sami as the heel and Owens as the babyface? Probably. But what I'm enjoying a lot more is them working with guys that I never really thought I'd personally get the chance to see them work with. Yeah. So, I want to keep that going. I would say Sami's actually in a better spot than Kevin Owens right now, honestly, because at least he's in a mid-card title feud, and who's a part of that feud? AJ fucking Styles. And meanwhile, Kevin Owens is cutting Raw Talk promos on Dabba-Kato, which, I mean, good for that dude. But, if I'm Sami, I'm loving right now. I knew what the ironic thing is, and I'm not even saying because I love Kevin Owens, man. I'm not trying to take the piss. But they've even said on like Talk is Jericho and other interviews, Kevin Owens is the one that's really passionate about wrestling. Sami Zayn, I feel like, could leave this business and he'd be just fine. Yep. Like this dude, like he's like, yeah, I got a life outside of it. I maybe that's the answer, is just to not give a shit, and then you'll be like, it's so messed up. But maybe if you just don't give a shit about your job, but you're still good at it, maybe that's the fucking answer. So way to go, Sammy.
It's like that one fucking Quora question that you'll see passed around in like anti-capitalist circles, where it's like, I have these two workers that are really good at what they do, but they always leave at 6 p.m. and I don't want them to feel like they can have a life outside of work. What can I do about this as a CEO?
yeah, exactly, yeah. And then people would just be like, oh, Sammy, you're away from the ring. Are you gonna be okay? Yeah, I'm actually building my third hospital in Syria. Yeah, like a fucking beast, dude. I stand Sami Zayn on every level, and I got to be honest with everything coming out about the wrestling industry. If Sammy would ever get mired in any shit, and I'm trying not to get attached to performers anymore, just because it's just like, it would break my fucking heart, man. Because I genuinely admire this dude, like on a deep level. Like I think the way he lives his life as a person, I think how he is as a performer. I just respect Sami Zayn so fucking much, and I never disliked him. I mean, we always talked about like his babyface NXT days. I always respected him, but like what he's doing right now and what he was doing before his injury and everything, in 2018 and stuff, the dude's just in a totally different league. I feel like he's playing chess while a lot of people are playing checkers, and you love to see it though. You love to watch the game being played. I hope he's healthy and good to go. Because honestly, I would like to see him flirt with the main event again. I really fucking would. Especially, let me say this too, especially if a Big E would ultimately beat Roman Reigns. Are anybody really going to tell me that Sami Zayn would not be a great heel feud for Big E, those two on the mic? I'd fucking, yeah. I'd fucking love it. I'd fucking love that. I'd eat that shit up, man. Sami Zayn is probably the most understated asset in that company, because I don't even know if they know how good they've got it. When you've got a mic worker that can go to his hometown of Quebec, or at least a place close to his hometown, have them sing his fucking theme song, and they're booing him by the time he leaves.
It was probably Montreal.
I think it was Quebec, because even at a line, it's just so Quebec. And even
Montreal's in Quebec.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're probably right. It probably is Montreal then, if that's the case. I'm geographically illiterate, so don't mind me, guys. At least I'm not a flat earther like Alan. But, yeah.
Oh, God.
By the way, best part about SmackDown for me was the tweet that I had about Alan, that a flat earther can't be Intercontinental Champion. You probably thought Pangea was a liberal plot to promote multiculturalism or something like that.
And then I was like, God, wouldn't it be awesome if leftists were as good enough at propaganda to pull that off?
Yeah, right? But yeah, what was I even going to say? Oh, yeah. That's the kind of heel that Sami Zayn is, though. That he can go into a place that's so pro-Zammy, and they're just like booing him by the time he's done. And like they need to milk the shit out of that. So that's what I want to say there. If there's anything you want to add, we can move on to the next segment, because we're talking about good shit right now and it feels good. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can just kind of say we talked about the Intercontinental title scene in general, since we talked about Sammy. So let's talk about the main event of last week's SmackDown, the four-way: Riddle, Uso, Corbin, and Sheamus.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we touched on in our Rocket League stream after the show, man. It's really cool that WWE is exploring with a new option, and doing experimenting that actually makes sense because of the bloodline. Jay getting the shot is interesting, but I'd like to see how he can do it, unless he's either going to lay down or get squashed, which we'll talk about that more thoroughly. When is that going to be? Probably next Friday. Well, yeah, it's going to be Friday the 25th probably for preview predictions. Either that or Thursday the 24th, because Clash Champions is on the 27th.
Yeah.
So, we'll talk about it then. We've got a few weeks to go. But yeah, I'm really excited about it, man. I thought it was a fun match, and Jay getting the win, it's different. It's different, and I'm here for it. And I thought the way they followed it up this week was really well done.
Yeah. I loved the follow-up this week with, like, Jay talking to Roman and Paul, thanking Paul, and then Paul being like, no, it wasn't me, it was Roman. And then thanking Roman. And then Roman just all stoic and badass, just being like, it's just going to be like old times. I'm going to beat your ass, and then I'm going to leave.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and then we got a tag match, those two guys against Corbin and Sheamus.
Yes. How'd you feel about this, man?
I loved it because it wasn't really a tag match. It was literally a handicap match. Jey Uso versus Sheamus and Corbin, and he held his own. It's a great way to build up your next challenger that doesn't really feel like a credible singles star yet, is to have him hold his own against two top singles heels. I love it. I think that's brilliant. And then Roman shows up, tags in, spear, win, leave.
Perfect.
Oh, dude, SmackDown this week wasn't perfect, but when it was on, it was on.
Dude, how crazy is it too that like with Roman, they're doing the two things I think we always asked them to do with Roman. One, I'm just gonna get the pun out of the way early, rein him in, kind of pull him back a little bit, and then second of all, obviously turn him heel. And like they have him as a heel, and yet his presence is minimal but meaningful. It's quality over quantity in its purest form, and I love it because he's not going to do much, and he's not going to like show up often. I mean, he'll show up, I guess, technically every week, but he's not going to be physical often. You're not going to get like a full length Roman Reigns match.
Dude, I feel like Roman Reigns, the way that WWE has portrayed Roman Reigns, is the ultimate example of why actions are more important than words, and why actions speak louder than words. Because a couple years ago, he was telling everyone, I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm the guy. And now, fuck saying it, he doesn't feel like a heel or a face. He just feels like the fucking dude. He feels like that motherfucker. It's a difference between saying it and being it. And he is it right now.
Yeah. Abso-freaking-lutely, man. Roman is in the pocket right now where he's just doing the best shit. Yep. Heyman, I know I used the word swagger for Heyman. Maybe that wasn't the right word, but I care about Paul Heyman again is really what I'm trying to express. When he talks, I listen again, and that feels really good. It's a great packaging, a great presentation, and yeah, I'm here for all of it, man. I am loving what they're doing so far, and I'm hoping they keep this momentum up. I mean, the end goal. WrestleMania, Big E. Let's do it.
So, do we want to talk about the briefcase stuff, bud?
I mean, we already kind of touched on it. I'm not hating it. I'm just glad that Morrison's doing something. I mean, I actually really like your prediction that it's going to ultimately end in a tag match. Heavy Machinery versus Miz and Morrison. Miz and Morrison win. A briefcase. If Heavy Machinery win, Mandy Rose goes back to SmackDown. I'm fully expecting Michael to fuck it up for everybody again because he's a piece of shit. So, yeah, Mike.
I also fully expect The Miz to be the reason that they don't win because, first of all, I expect Heavy Machinery to win because I don't think Mandy's ever even going to be on Raw, and if she is, it'll be a one-time thing this week. But more importantly, I don't think that Morrison's going to get the briefcase, unfortunately.
I mean, you know what, though, dude? At this point, I'm so desperate to just be invested in Morrison and for them, more importantly, to give me a reason to be invested. Because, again, I know my fandom hasn't waned because when he teased that briefcase the first time, like when this whole angle was initiated, dude, I popped so fucking big. I'm like, holy shit. Yep. So I know it's not me and him. It's how he's being presented. So him at least having a match with those kinds of stakes, I'm cool with it. Even if he loses. Just give him something to do. And then please, when they do lose, have him beat the shit out of Michael and then have him just go back to his wife where they could film the third season of their show and he could cry, why is John so mean to me? Yeah, it's because you're a fucking chud and you're holding him fucking back. Look in the mirror, assess your life, and do better. Sucks to suck. So, yeah.
So, would you have Morrison beat the shit out of Miz, or would you have Miz beat the shit out of Morrison? And regardless of what your answer is to that question, who's the heel going forward?
I think a heel Morrison can work because we saw it in Lucha Underground as Johnny Mundo. But I don't know. If WWE feels like they can make a top babyface out of him, which I feel like they did all those years ago, and then Johnny was like, well, I've got other things I want to do with my life, and you missed the boat, so, peace. Then I guess they can make him a babyface. I wouldn't mind seeing one last babyface run from him. I just still prefer him as a heel. I just should have specified I prefer him as a singles heel. I like the tag run initially when they regain the titles because I look at this run as his last run with the company. I've said that many times. And it's like a farewell tour, so of course you want to win the tag titles with your best friend. But then you got to be like, well, never did win the WWE titles, so nut shot, And I still feel like Babyface Miz, maybe Babyface Miz couldn't work. Maybe they just beat the hell out of each other and they're both heel. I don't fucking know. But Miz is probably going to be the heel going forward and they'll probably do another Morrison Babyface run. Maybe he'll win. Maybe him holding the briefcase was foreshadowing for 2021. Morrison in the Bank 2021. I'm already getting started on the next campaign to fail.
No.
I already said the next campaign to fail. I'm aware, sir.
I was going to say, though, I could envision if you know, Sammy ever forces the WWE to acknowledge him as the official Intercontinental Champion, I could see Morrison taking that off of him.
Oh, dude, those fucking matches. I mean, not the promos, because Jomo even admits that promos will always be his weakness, but the matches, though. I'll be like, it's okay that you can't talk, because we can just see those abs do, like, 450-degree rotations. That's enough.
You know what, though? I feel like they would really play well off of each other, because Sammy would go on one of his long tirades about how there's so much injustice, and then Morrison would just give him a look and just, like, insult him, like, appearance-wise. Like, has anyone ever told you that you look kind of like a skinny Seth Rogen, or something like that?
Yes, yeah, like he goes on this whole tirade about everything, and then Jomo just retorts with that. So yeah, I'm loving that they're finally doing something with him that has some teeth, rather than them just doing like Miz TVs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the sooner they break up and they either turn Morrison face or just give him something more meaningful to do, the better. Because I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but I would like to see him with one world title reign before he calls it a career. I'd probably cry seeing that. And not only, I mean, I already got like the triumphant tears for Lucha Underground. These wouldn't be triumphant. They would just be like tears of gratitude. You know, like he got the nod from the company. And then I know he gave like his best year. Well, you could say that the Lucha Underground got his best years, but they got some of his best years. And now they're just kind of giving him the nod. And he could still fucking go at 39 years old, the shit that he's been doing. Jesus Christ.
Is he really only 39? For some reason, I thought he was in his 40s.
Is he? He might even be 40 now, dude. I might be wrong about that. Let's just Google it very quickly. Let's see.
He is 40.
He is 40. Okay, yeah, it's insane because his physique and everything else. It's like holy shit. So yeah, I do want him to have like one final title reign before he calls it a career. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm not having a problem with it so far, especially if it has some kind of meaningful payoff. So we'll see.
Do you know when his birthday is off your memory?
No, not off my memory, but according to it's October 3rd. That's right.
So he'll be 41 in 3 weeks.
Holy shit, dude. Holy fuck. All right, well, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Old man Mundo.
Yeah.
All right. I guess let's talk about Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah, I'm still enjoying it. I don't know how this is gonna, fucking tie into the Alexa stuff because sooner or later they have to cross paths. But we got what's the new character's name? Is it Paulie the Walrus?
No. Well, here's the thing. He originally wanted to introduce like a parakeet or a parrot character, if I remember correctly.
Right.
The squalling, perceiving parrot.
Yeah.
And Ramblin' Rabbit was like, "He threw the coop, dude." Miguel said, "Polly won a tombstone." So apparently the parrot was dead in its little container, and Bray was just like, "Oh, next time I gotta remember to poke holes." And then the boss, Vince or Mr. McMahon, comes out and says that you need somebody watching over you to make sure that you don't get in any more shenanigans. And he introduces the new babysitter, basically, of the Fiend / Bray Wyatt, Wobbly Walrus.
That's what it was, Wobbly Walrus. Yeah. And then Vince Puppet's like, "This is such good shit."
Yeah, that was probably my favorite part of the whole thing.
And then Razor's like, "Oh no." I'm still into it. I'm curious how that's all gonna go. I think this is ultimately leading to Hell in a Cell, Fiend versus Roman, which I'm totally down for. I'm keeping an open mind to Fiend as babyface. I've said many times before, I had an idea of how they could turn him face. They obviously didn't go with it, at all. That's fine. I'm actually curious how much merch he'll sell if they really, go full throttle with him being a babyface and come out with maybe some new merch. Because I know he was a hot seller even when he was supposed to be a heel. So we'll see what happens. I'm still into it. I'm still behind the Fiend. I still love the Fiend. And I'm curious what him and Roman could do together, because I think that could actually be some really fun stuff, honestly. I think they're both kind of meeting at maybe not the right time, because I don't think Fiend was as hot as when he debuted, and the whole Seth Rollins feud. But Reigns got a lot of heat right now. He's on top of his game. I think Bray is a creative genius. I put a high premium on his talents. I think those two together can make a really memorable Hell in a Cell match for the right reasons this time. So let's make it happen.
Yes, redeem the Fiend.
Yeah, hashtag redeem the Fiend, yes.
All right, we have two things that we have left to talk about.
Let's do it.
We're kind of doing this like the way the old school WWE, where they would have a really big match and then like a no, really short, like it's a women's match, so you can go piss now kind of thing, and then the main event, right? Like the way they structure the pay-per-views. So like the no nothing, like whatever, not really that big of a deal thing that we're going to talk about first is the vignettes for Carmella.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
The first one just showed legs, and people were really, really on the speculation train about that. They were like, "Oh my God, it's going to be Eva Marie coming back!" And Eva Marie even like quote tweeted it and said, "OMG, those legs" or something like that to get people really going. There were some people that thought it was Kelly. A lot of people thought it was Chelsea Green, etc., etc. And then this week's plays, and it has now been proven that it is in fact Carmella because of a certain mark or a tattoo on her arm.
Yeah. I'm going to stand by what you and I have always said. I feel like, I don't know if you still feel this way. I think I still feel this way ultimately. Carmella isn't awful in the ring. She's solid. Yeah. I think she's a solid undercard act.
Especially as a babyface.
Especially as a babyface. She's not known for her mic work. I feel like not all of her promos when she was a heel was bad. It's just she always made the opposition, especially Asuka, look really stupid, and I don't feel like you should have to make a heel that way. Like your opposition, it really should be the opposite. The opposition should be really competent, and you have to be smart enough to outsmart them and kind of weasel your way out with the title. But they took a lot of liberties with that. But yeah, like if this is a gimmick change for her, if she's being revamped, it seems like it's kind of a heel gimmick. That's how it comes off to me. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like Carmella...
I actually saw someone comment on it the other day, Carmelina.
Yeah, really.
Like it comes off like another Emelina type gimmick, but with Carmella.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think it's kind of disappointing. I loved her stuff with Truth. I think she can be very endearing and likable as a babyface. As a heel, I'm going to give it an open mind like we try and do with everything else, but I am tentative about it. How do you feel about it, man?
Like I think I just expressed, like I feel like it kind of comes off as like another Emelina type thing.
Yeah.
It definitely does have a heel vibe. I will agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know. I don't dislike Carmella as a talent. I'm not the biggest fan of her as a person. Just the fact that she fucking enables Corey Graves' bullshit on Twitter and stuff like that is like, wow, red flag.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I do think she's a good talent. She's got a great look. She's a pretty good talker. She's a good hand in the ring as a babyface. And God, please, like if you're gonna bring her back as a heel, just don't book her the way that you did in her actual SmackDown Women's Championship run, because that made people think that she was a legitimately bad wrestler when she just kind of pretended to be because she was a heel.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see how it all goes, I guess.
All right. Only other thing we have to talk about is the last thing that we have to talk about: Bayley and Sasha.
Okay, I know you adore Sasha, and I know you're a big fan of Bayley. I mean, we're both kind of in the same camp here. We just like, you're the bigger Sasha fan. I feel like I'm the bigger Bayley fan with this current run.
Yeah.
But you go first, man. You go first. I want you to like give all your thoughts on everything that's happened here, because I know you were late to the party on the heel turn. You were like, wait, what? But now that you've had time to really process everything, I want you to walk.
Yeah, because last week I actually went back and rewatched a lot of SmackDown last week before we went live. And the actual match, like, they were pulling out so much cool tag team shit. I loved that. And then, like, afterwards, Bayley just, that's it. And now we found out this week that it was because she just felt like she had no use for Sasha anymore, so she just beat the shit out of her. Destroyed her leg that was already kind of destroyed from doing the Meteora that missed and ended up hitting ring post. And then she did the fucking Pillmanizer with the ladder or the chair around her neck. And we're probably not going to see Sasha for... Although, what was that? Someone said something about Sasha being on SmackDown this coming week?
Mark said that this coming week they're going to do like a satellite interview with Sasha, apparently.
Wow.
So...
That's...
Yeah.
Wow. That's...
Yeah.
You know what though? If it is a satellite thing, and she says something like, I'm not cleared to wrestle, and I probably won't be for a few months, I'm going to get my hopes up immensely that she'll be the Royal Rumble 2021 winner.
Yeah, that's true. It really depends on how much space they give between like her absence from television to her return. Because if we get past Hell in a Cell and we still haven't seen her, then I'm really gonna be on board with Mark. Like, yeah, she's gonna win the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
but Hell in a Cell is a tricky one.
Because if she literally like she's such a good actress. Like her line delivery isn't always the best, but she is so good at the actual acting part of what she does that like the facial expressions and the expressing genuine emotions, that if she has to make the announcement like, oh, there's a slipped disc in my neck or something like that, and I'm gonna have to miss a few months, and she gets really emotional and like tears up even when she's delivering that, her return is gonna be so anticipated and such a big deal. And if she returns at the Royal Rumble, especially if they do it right and have her return at number 30, holy shit, the roof is going to explode. Especially if there's a crowd. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. They're going to come unfucking glued for that shit.
And then she wins. Oh my. Like, there's layers that you just have to not fuck it up, WWE. There's so many layers to it. And all WWE has to do is just not fuck it up. And like, I gotta say, I'm expecting them to fuck it up. Because I'm expecting Sasha to be like, oh, I'm not cleared yet, but I'm not far. It'll be another week or two. I hope that I'll be able to come back and get my revenge on Bayley soon. And then we'll see her attack Bayley after Bayley retains at Clash, and then we'll get the build up to their Hell in a Cell match. That's the WWE path that I'm envisioning in my head. That's the expected path that I'm seeing in my head. But it's more about what I think they could do that would be like optimal than I'm thinking about,
Yeah. I'm going to be very curious how they play this. I think Paul makes a great point. I'm struggling with who I'm supposed to root for here. Bayley attacks Sasha, sure, but Sasha has made it plain by her longing looks and facial reactions that she was pretty much beaten to the punch. I mean, yeah, I can't even really fault Paul here for his logic, but that notwithstanding, I thought Bayley cut a brilliant promo here.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. She just continues to be on top of her game. Like, I listened to a Chris Jericho interview not too long ago where he was like, there was a time, and I think he said it was his 2008 run, where I would come out and I knew I was the best wrestler in the world that night. I hope Bayley gets that same feeling because, like, she just continues to over-deliver in a division that really doesn't have enough meat for what she's capable of. Like, again, the whole going back to Nikki Cross thing, it's like what she's putting out far exceeds what the division is capable of giving her, and that's really a shame. Like, that's why I don't know when Bayley will turn babyface again, because eventually she'll have to. I think there will be a time where people, especially when crowds come back, when people...
Yeah, at the very least, she's going to end up pulling an Edge where she keeps being this dastardly heel and crowds just eventually start cheering her for it.
Exactly. And I don't even know if maybe she could be a babyface as this Bayley, or if they would want her to just go back to her hugging ways. Because I could see the return of the flailing tube man getting a big pop. But I am just really loving this run. I'm just really loving this run with Bayley. I'd like to see her do it with a roster that does have like Asuka and Shayna and all this stuff. And in a way she kind of did, because as women's tag champ, she was on Raw and stuff. But I'm talking as like a singles competitor.
Right.
I think she's so goddamn good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like narratively speaking, I don't know if this match can top their Brooklyn match narratively speaking, because that was such a great story of Bayley being the ultimate underdog and Sasha just being so insecure because Bayley got over the way that Sasha tried to and it didn't work. Like millions of people, like you, Mark, so many people have like dissected that story to death. But this is also a really good story, and I feel like match-wise, maybe they'd be able to beat their Brooklyn match. Because I'm really excited about a babyface Sasha working with heel Bayley.
I also really want an explanation from Sasha in the sense that like, now that we're all out in the open, and now that Bayley has basically confessed to saying that she used me, I can say to everyone why I kept longing and looking and what was going on there with all the looks at the title. And maybe she can even say something along the lines of like, yeah, of course I wanted it because I'm a competitor and I want to be the best. And that title is a sign of who the best is. But I didn't try and take it from you because you're my best friend.
That's exactly what they should go with. Because that is going to be one problem. It's the same way when they initially tried turning Seth Rollins face all those years ago when Kevin Owens was Universal Champion. They even had a sit-down interview where, like, Seth Rollins was asked point blank, how can you be mad at Kevin Owens or you know, have a gripe with the authority or whatever when you've done the exact same things as Kevin Owens. You've benefited the exact same way that Kevin Owens has in the past, and that's a fair fucking question. And I feel like Seth answered it horribly. How Sasha handles that question is really going to determine if I can vibe with her as a babyface or not. Because if she gives that exact answer that you presented for her, I'm like, great, that makes all the sense in the world to me. But if they don't even acknowledge like the longing glances or any of the things that Bayley has like talked about, and or if they do acknowledge it and Sasha gives like kind of a mealy mouth kind of answer that's very weak.
Can I also? I just want to ask a question. Has Sasha ever attacked Bayley the way that Bayley has attacked Sasha twice?
Maybe only in NXT when Sasha was coming in as the boss, but like other than that, I don't think so.
But it was never under the pretense that they were friends though, was it?
I don't think so.
So, like, how weird is that? Because, like, how many times have we seen Sasha, quote-unquote, buddy up to someone and then beat the shit out of him and leave him for dead, right? I feel like that's, like, a thing that happens quite often with her. Like, I feel like she's done it quite a few times. And the one person that does it to her that she's never done it to is Bayley. And she's done it twice now. Because, remember, she already did it a couple years ago. And they did the fucking couples counseling and shit. And, like... the way that story ended with Sasha telling Bayley, I love you. That was like, and people thought they were going to be a fucking lesbian couple after that. And like, we've come full circle and Bayley did it again. And it's like, you could legitimately go back and watch through WWE history and be like, maybe this really is Bayley's true heart right now. This is crazy.
Yeah. Maybe this is who she was always meant to be. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving this story, though. Kudos to these women. They're fucking killing it. And I can't wait for their match. I think it's going to be fucking fire. And might even be a match of the year contender. And in fact, I'm pretty confident that it will be.
Well, I'm going to ask you right now, if it's Hell in a Cell, do you think that's more or less likely to be a match of the year contender than if it's at WrestleMania?
That's a really good question, bro. I'm going to kind of give a middle-of-the-road answer. It would be less. Because I think WrestleMania has the spectacle and everything. Although, can I just say this, though? COVID's been handled so terribly in the U.S., maybe it wouldn't even matter. Because I feel like what makes WrestleMania is the spectacle and the size of it, right? Because the arena's always packed with fans, and you got the
right.
It's so, it's so, comported and claustrophobic almost with how constricted was the word. It's so constricted with the space that's working out of the performance center that it feels like just another pay-per-view that I don't know. I'm really curious how WWE is going to handle WrestleMania next year because with the way COVID's been spreading, you shouldn't really be able to have people. I know AEW's already kind of violated that stuff. I think WWE, I'm actually amazed that WWE hasn't broken yet, and maybe that's only because they can tell their PR team, while other wrestling companies are physically having people there, we've innovated ways around it with the Thunderdome. Like, I could just see that as a press release. But with WrestleMania, if you've got the Thunderdome and you're able to do it in a big arena, then maybe I'd still say less. You should save it for Mania because it's such a big story. But given COVID, maybe Hell in a Cell would be better only because it would be the first Hell in a Cell match that really felt earned in a long time.
Yeah.
Like a long time. And I feel like those two would maximize the stipulation. So I think both could be match of the year contenders, but I think if you're looking for story and pageantry and grandeur, it would be less so because it didn't happen at WrestleMania.
I think to me the ultimate sort of story-driven match of the year contender for them would be if Sasha beats Bayley for the title before WrestleMania, and the WrestleMania match is to see if she can retain it finally.
Yeah, because everybody always pokes fun. Like Bayley even did recently about like how I should have known that you can never retain a women's championship.
Yeah.
And like, I agree with you there. So that's it, huh?
Yeah, it is. Imagine that. What do you think?
Dude, I'm so happy. I thought we'd get through this relatively quickly. I mean, we still went over like 2 hours a little bit, but like, yeah, it was 2 and some change. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, I feel like the last one we did went 3.
Yeah, dude, this was so much better. I wish all catch-up commentaries were like this to be a lot more bearable. I mean, I'd also like if catch-up commentaries had good Raws to talk about.
Oh, yeah, I just looked. Quicker. Our last catch-up commentary was 3:10:44.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, I'm not gonna push my luck. Let's get the fuck out of here. So this has been WWE Catch-Up Commentary. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-writer commentary Ashton. Guys, be sure to subscribe. Click the bell icon notification so you never get missed any of that TWitWoW goodness. Leave a like if you haven't. We still got 10 people watching, only 4 likes. If you could up that a little bit for us as you file out, that'd be great. Be sure to comment down below when this video is done processing. I know we had a very active chat tonight, and I'm very grateful for that. Some of you guys felt very strongly about what you didn't like on the show. Others of you were able to really revel when we talked about the good shit, like Sasha, like Bailey. Talk to us. So I'm gonna break the question down like this because we talked about a lot. I'm gonna try and compact it for you guys. What's your favorite thing going on Raw? What's your least favorite thing going on Raw? What's your favorite thing going on SmackDown? What's your least favorite thing going on SmackDown?
Oh, speaking of, we never did high spots, low shots. You want to get that out of the way real quick?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I was jumping the gun. High spots, low shots. Low shot. Fuck. You know what, dude? I'm going to say low shot Kevin Owens. Yeah, I'm going to say low shot Kevin Owens. Lost a chance to be in the triple threat the 1 week, and then now is to shift his attention to Dabba-Kato because he took out, I guess, both him and Alistair in Raw Underground. So Kevin Owens is my low shot. You hate to see it.
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to make mine Alistair Black for pretty much the same reason, but I feel like there might be a program coming out of this between Kevin Owens and Dabba-Kato, and Alistair feels lost again.
Yeah, that really, that's a great point. That really sucks.
And I also feel like Alistair lost more credibility because, you look at Alistair Black and you look at Kevin Owens, who's going to win in a shoot fight, and, I don't mean to, shame anyone. I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan. I don't have any kind of a problem with him being a big dude, but you never expect somebody that looks like that to be able to keep up in a real fight with somebody with shoot boxing skills that looks like Alistair Black. And so the fact that first of all, the fact that quote unquote shoot fight in Raw Underground lasted as long as it did, and then the fact that Alistair got bitched out by Dabba-Kato just as much as Kevin, and then Kevin called Dabba-Kato out and Alistair didn't, all of that to me makes Alistair worse off than he was before to a higher degree than Kevin was.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there. I can appreciate that. High spot should be easy. Bailey. I have been fucking adoring Bailey lately, and she killed it again with her promo. And the chair attack on Nikki, which was kind of rendered moot when we got Super Nikki. But yeah, Bailey's still on top of her fucking game. Easy high spot for me.
Awesome. My high spot's Sami Zayn.
Excellent. Okay, so to resume my outro.
Yes.
You guys already know what my question for the comments was. Talk to us. Least favorite Raw and SmackDown things going on. Most favorite Raw and SmackDown things going on. And you can check all of our social media in the description box. Guys, I want you to know, since there's only 30 days in this month, that Q&A is going to be happening September 24th. So 12 days already before our next Q&A. That's freaking wild. So be sure to get your questions in. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. I do have the pinned tweet up. I don't think it's gotten a lot of activity yet. You can also DM me. That's totally fine. I just got to remember to check my DMs beforehand. And we'll see you guys again maybe Tuesday for Stardom, hopefully. But if not, definitely Wednesday for NXT. NXT is back on Wednesdays. We'll be going live with that at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, if there isn't a Stardom show. And if there is a Stardom show, I'm guessing that would be Tuesday at 5, right, Ashton? That's fair to say.
If it'll either be Tuesday at 5 or Wednesday at 5 for sure, yeah.
Yeah. So that's when you'll see us again, just in general for TWitWoW content. But if you're here for only WWE stuff, NXT at 8 is going to be when you see us next. All right. So with that said, guys, be good to yourselves and each other. The world keeps getting crazier out there. I don't even know what the fuck 2020 is anymore. But any peace, any enjoyment, any whatever we're able to bring you to your computer screens is definitely worthwhile. Keep doing your best out there, and we'll see you again soon. Till then, tune in. Peace out.